Hey, we're...
Never forget a birthday. That's what we're here for. We're here to remind you that if you know someone who has a birthday, which is literally everyone in the entire world who is living or possibly dead at this point, remind them to wish them a happy birthday on behalf of Powerbomb Weekly.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Joseph. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm all right. It's a great day to be alive, and not my birthday.
No.
It'll be in a few months. Yes.
All right. So, I'm back in frame. Life is good.
Yeah. Okay.
Got my mouse. We can run the show.
A couple minutes past the hour, we're coming at you. Joey has been having some technical difficulties with the computer this evening, apparently, so we apologize for being a few minutes late, but hopefully that'll give you guys time to jump in and get ready for tonight's, I guess, pretty lackluster show for the most part.
Oh, no, we got so much to talk about.
There's really nothing to talk about.
Oh, there's so much to talk about.
Yes.
We got a whole pay-per-view to review. We've got...
What pay-per-view?
We got AEW's pay-per-view to review.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, did anybody...
They're WrestleMania, because they keep saying the countdown to Revolution, which is, the tagline to WrestleMania, right?
Well, no, this year it's the most stupendous. Thanks, Pat Mack. Did you see that they have decided to copyright that it will not be, WrestleMania Day 1, Day 2. It'll be WrestleMania Saturday, WrestleMania Sunday is going to be their new copyright for it. Yes,
that's fabulous. That's stupendous. That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's all of the amazing things.
All of the things.
It's all the adjectives. Let's start the show.
Okay, yeah.
Welcome to Powerbomb Weekly. Let's start the show the right way, because,
Yeah.
Kevin and I came... Kevin came through.
Okay.
And I was able to actually do some fun editing. And here we go. See how the show looks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of Powerbomb Weekly. Before we get tonight's show underway, here's your friendly reminder. It's your opportunity to get Michael Burdett into the WWE Hall of Fame. Just include that hashtag, Michael Burdett, WWE Hall of Fame, on all of your social media, and get the man where he rightfully belongs. And now let's preview tonight's show. Tonight the guys talk about the impact of the Olympics on the ratings for your favorite wrestling programs. Brock Lesnar appeared on the Pat Mcafee show. The guys will share their thoughts. There was also an incident this week that hasn't occurred in professional wrestling since Rick Rude did it in the 1990s. What was it? And finally, the guys will break down their preview for AEW's Revolution pay-per-view. But first, let me introduce to you your hosts. He is a surefire Hall of Famer. In fact, he should have already been in there. He's the straw that stirs the drink. He is the great Michael Burdett.
Right there.
And his co-host. A man that gives new meaning to the nickname MJF. It's a major Joey failure. Ladies and gentlemen, Joey Marcel. And now tonight, our show brought to you by Kitsap Great Escape, the only escape room in Kitsap County. Find out more at kitsapgreatescape.com. On with tonight's show.
So, as I've said, all I ever do is write him the script of the things that we're going to do on the show. And he has full range to do whatever he wants, and I'm never going to stifle his creativity. Never. I will. I'll never do it.
All right.
And when he's like the MJF, I lit up. Just sitting right next to him when he recorded. I lit up. I was like, ah! And then he threw that other part on there. And I was like, well, at least I get
Kevin, I've probably said it, but Kevin's like that old commercial, for the candy. First he's sour, then he's sweet. But he's actually the reverse of first he's sweet, and then he's sour. So it just leaves you with a bitter taste in your mouth. So how does Kevin taste in your mouth? Is it a little bitter? little chunky, little bitter?
Yeah, I actually... So, some people that watch our show
Oh, Lord. I apologize to each and every one of you for
have
doing
actually
that.
said to me, "Why do you hate Joey so much? I thought you guys were friends." And I want to know too, Kevin. I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get through the legalese. There is going to be some cursing in this show. I've got some shit to say, as it were. And so, there'll probably be some cursing.
Some
And,
things are missing this week, as you people can tell. Fuck Russia.
Whoa. We're not that kind of show. And the does not matter because it's going to get... Anyway, but hey, last week's show went with no copyright issues.
Really?
Well, we had no video.
Oh, okay. Did we not have video last week?
We did not have video.
Okay.
Yeah, and we do not have any video this week.
Okay, so we figured out how to get around the copyright rule of just not
And I
having-
wanted to add some video to this week.
I'm sure you did, but AEW has been the one who's slamming us recently, so we could not... Besides, you're going to recap in detail, verbatim, word for word, everything that Maxwell said anyway.
I'm not word for word.
You're going to word for word it, man.
Anyway, so the ratings. The ratings. So all of them that have kind of the outline around it, those were the Super Bowl. Those were the Olympic ratings. Why did NXT take a hit? They lost 200,000 viewers the first night.
But they've also lost, 200,000 to 300,000 viewers from what they had before the 2.0 reboot.
They had their lowest overall score, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Raw did not see... the first week they took a little bit of a hit. And SmackDown, it doesn't affect it because they didn't have to go hide on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
Rampage, they decided to do their show 2.5 hours earlier at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because of hockey. They took a hit.
Massive hit. People probably aren't even home from work at that point.
Yeah, they're
Working 9 to 5.
they're throwing in NXT numbers down here. And of course, this week we don't have any, but Dynamite still.
Which is funny because they still beat NXT.
Yeah, they still beat NXT.
Yeah, except for that show, they beat NXT consistently.
And Dynamite is staying over 1 million.
Good job, Dynamite. 1 million views. Nice.
The Impact is continuing their dwindling down, Phil. Although Impact has been really good lately. And Raw almost do you think Raw will hit 2 million again ever?
I will tell you when Raw will hit 2 million plus again here soon, should it come to pass if they actually do it.
Please do. Please share. What will it take for Raw to get to 2 million viewers?
That son of a bitch, Stone Cold Steve Austin!
Okay.
I guarantee you, if they book Steve will push them over 2 mil.
It would be a Raw program that's being, what do you call it?
Teased.
Teased is
At
the
this
word.
point, yeah. If they book Steve on Raw, they'll push 2 million.
All right. Well, I'll...
They have to promote it. Steve just can't walk out, which is the stupid shit that they've been doing for a while now of not promoting a return or anything like that and just letting stuff happen. If they literally have, a pre-tape or something and him say, whoever it's going to be, if it's going to be Owen, say, you know what, next week you're going to have to answer to me in the great state of Texas. I guarantee you the following week they'll do 2 mil.
Or you have your world's, your favorite Corey Graves. Breaking news!
He's going to wrestle again soon, I guess.
Yeah, that's not in the news for me.
He wasn't bad.
I swear I changed this to say February.
Well, it doesn't. It says January.
I see that.
Yeah.
I'm learning. So, for those that are watching this, I hope you notice that every week it just gets a little better because I'm learning what colors don't work and which colors. Like, I apologize for anybody who watched last week's show. Those NXT graphics from St. Valentine's Day, Massacre, Break Your Heart,
Vengeance Day.
Those graphics did not turn out properly on the screen.
I mean, I think they look better than the giant text word bubble messages that they, inserted into the opening segment that they felt the need to show us again this week on NXT. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Where's my run sheet? Oh, there's my run sheet. There's my run sheet. All right.
Okay.
So, got a couple memes because we're, got to have some fun while we do it before we start,
All right. Let's go
I cannot believe that last week I wore this shirt.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about it. And I completely forgot till after the show.
We had...
Yes!
I saw it.
He's back!
We had like 5 shows and 2 pages.
I know, but I wanted to at least talk about this. And this was the greatest meme of the last month. If anyone ever watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they absolutely know Uncle Phil throwing Jazz out the house.
How do you feel about the new Bel-Air show with Carlton doing like
drugs,
coke off of the toilet seats and stuff?
I have not watched it yet. I kind of look when I watched the preview. I'm like, so Carlton's a gangbanger. Interesting, swerve. And the only person, so Viv seemed very much like her old version. You're comparing apples to grapefruits, I know. But, like, Viv had that same kind of, I'm a fashionista, better than the rest of you. And Joffrey seemed very much on par with how he was in the original.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we all know, anybody who watched the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, even in the 90s, Joffrey was balling. He had some sketch stuff in his background that he didn't want people to know about.
Yeah, he was their Alfred,
But man, when he threw this poor man corner to post to post, corner to corner, I almost thought he was going to land outside the ring. He threw him so hard.
Oh, he bumped so well for him. And anybody who was like, "Oh, Keith Lee looked out of shape. Keith Lee looked that. He looked this or whatever,"
no,
piss off. Keith Lee looked awesome. He looked great. So happy he's back.
Yes. All right. So I know. You're going to say, get off of his nuts.
Okay.
You're going to say, get off his nuts. So, MJF. So, with all sincerity, she's come a long way from using her sanitary pad as her finisher to where she is today. Credit where credit is due. Send Mandy my love. Now, this may be our last show and last moment ever after I say this to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that I don't believe you, but sometimes you're full of shit.
Okay.
I've known you long enough.
Mm-hmm.
So when you used to tell me, "Oh, this is the woman who shoved tampons," and I'm like, "No, she's not. That's bullshit. You're clawing out your ass." Or maybe she did it one time in an indie show that you read about on some little dirt sheet. Apparently, this was true.
Yes, this is 100% true.
So sometimes...
And it only happened, I think it only happened once. And it happened in one match. And a little bit of the background, her name, Priscilla's Presley or something like that, I think is what she was wrestling under. I might be confused at this point. But essentially, she'd already been to developmental. She had worked for WWE for a minute as this character, and then she had left, and everybody was freaking out because it was WWE Superstar. She wasn't working there at the time. She hadn't come back as this character. And I'm going to go on the... I want to be on the pro part side of this because... she had a match with another wrestler. I forget her name. I apologize. But she is something. And she pulled a bloody tampon out of her drawers and stuck it in the other girl's mouth and hit her with it. Now, this was a planned spot.
Obviously.
It was faked.
Obviously.
It was done. But I never saw what the problem was. It was at a bar.
Right.
And it was an 18-plus only show to begin with, all right? But if on national TV, and even on... because he blew up for a minute before he was found out to be, well, exactly what his character is supposed to be. You know, you got a man pulling a lollipop out of his joke and sticking it in another man's mouth.
Yeah.
Why is that so bad? But what she did is so horrible.
Yeah. So... I kind of thought you were full of shit, but apparently it was true, and
Yeah.
And he hasn't walked off the show, so.
No, I haven't walked off the show. I mean, because, once again, as Kevin Chambers loves to point out, I was right.
You were right.
I was right, and I knew my shit because I did the research.
I didn't think about that. I was going to blow up on my way that.
Remember, next week, Kevin, when you come in and do the interviews, remember, I was right.
Crap. All right. So we talked about last week. We were gonna. I had not watched the Pat McAfee interview. You had seen most of it. I hadn't seen any of it. But we were gonna challenge you guys to watch it. I was gonna watch it, and I watched it actually this morning. And my gosh. So Brock Lesnar on Pat McAfee.
All right.
They have humanized him. I have hated Brock Lesnar for years. I have hated everything about Brock Lesnar. This man is just in it for the money. This man doesn't give a damn about wrestling. He doesn't care about the people. I'll say, like, he was kind of like The Undertaker. You didn't know the man. You knew the character, the aura that the character portrayed. And the only way you ever heard about what Brock Lesnar was behind the curtain was from the character Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
When Paul Heyman would go on his little shoot interviews and talk about, the very amazing shoot interview of was it a work or not when he beat The Undertaker.
Our comment section was
Yay!
Yes.
Did The Undertaker, was that planned or not, or did Brock just go in it? And then, like, the whole thing ends with Paul Heyman going, you just don't know. And would The Undertaker admit it if it wasn't planned? And apparently The Undertaker's kind of gone off and said, no, it was planned.
Oh, yeah. That was that. He picked Brock.
So, the guy, I mean, he talks about how his love for hunting, and I kind of want to get his spices.
For the most part, these were things we kind of knew about Brock, that's always been the joke in the wrestling community, is Brock shows up, makes a bunch of money, and then goes back to Canada and just hunts for the rest of the year. Right. That's all he wants to do. But I think the presentation of... The thing with Brock is, Brock doesn't answer questions.
No.
He really doesn't. Even if you go back and watch, like, his UFC interviews and stuff like that, he doesn't really answer personal questions. He's very protective of his private life, which is fine. You should be.
And you find out why during this thing.
Yeah, and
the dude has serious anxiety.
Yeah, you find out why. That's what I said. The beast introverted is what I said on the page. Introverted. But I mean, it was unique for this interview to get this out of him, because, like you said, you don't ever see a humanized side of Brock.
No.
In a dialogue term. You always see, and this, I'm still going to maintain for this, Brock Lesnar's a prick, okay? I had seen Brock interactions 20 years ago in OVW when he was 20 years old and was a prick, okay? Oh, yeah. And everything I've heard about him backstage for the most part is that he's pretty much a prick, okay? But that seems to be a shell. That seems to be the outside shell that you get for it, And I thought this interview, as you said, it really humanized Brock Lesnar to the people who don't know what Brock Lesnar is. You know?
Do you think it was part of the plan, since he's out taking pictures and shaking hands? And
I'm sure it's...
Because he's obviously a face now. We questioned it for a minute.
Baby face, but yeah, that's what they want him to be, as a baby face for it. But he's having fun with it, and he says this is the best time he's had in his life in the career for it, which is great because he's getting to interact with people. He doesn't have to always be on the defensive as this. And realistically, despite all of the, wonderful trash talking, with Brock is a legit badass. I don't think he was he was on the verge of starting to become good in the UFC, but his wrestling, if he would have stuck with a good ground and pound wrestling submission style and not gotten, the stomach infections and things like that, that had most of his intestines removed twice, I don't know what Brock Lesnar as an MMA athlete would have ended up looking like, because he has an incredibly powerful wrestling balance. He has incredible pedigree for, his collegiate career that he had. But the thing with watching Brock is, Brock doesn't like getting punched in the face.
No.
And Brock can't throw a punch. He just throws a lot of weight behind his punch, you know?
Which is weird since he's grown up fighting his whole life, apparently.
Yes, but it's like... But he's so big.
Right.
He's been that... We've seen him at 16 years old at 200 pounds wrestling people. Like, this is just a big genetic son of a bitch.
We need to find pictures of his brothers, because apparently he's the little brother.
Well, the thing with him is... Like, you know, we often go back and forth on the comic world, but... Every time I see Brock Lesnar, I just think of that line from Sin City about Marv, where it's like, you know, he was born in the wrong time. If he would have been born, you know, 1,000 years ago, he would have been some berserker on the battlefield with the Vikings or something.
Well, they say that literally in this interview.
That's what I'm getting at. Is that would have been Brock Lesnar. He would have been Conan the Barbarian 100,000 years ago in Cremeria or whatever it is. You know, I mean, this is an incredibly athletic, dominant human being who's dominated pretty much everything he's been in. The only thing,
with the exception of football.
But the thing with football is, this is my personal thing. I really think that he just screwed that up. He posted great numbers at the combine.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think he was on the roids at that point, and you can't tell me that he is not on and off the steroids.
Right.
I mean, it's proven. You know,
right.
That's why he's
not in MMA.
The UFC fight, you know, with Mark Hunt, that Mark Hunt is still suing the UFC over for it. But I don't know. He was so. I mean, we saw him throwing helmets at the fucking other players and stuff during the tryouts and stuff. So it's like this dude was angry at that point in time for some reason. Probably a little bit jaded by Vince, which he talked about in this show. He talked about his relationship with Vince, which is really awkward. You know, he talked about his relationship with Dana White. He talked about mistakes that he's made. And it was very humbling to see a guy say things like, you know, I've never heard Brock really say, I love professional wrestling until this interview.
No, that's true.
I can't recall him saying, I love this sport. And he said it in this, but he said, you know, paraphrasing, I am so high anxiety driven that by the time I'm done with the crowd, he's like, I can't focus. I'm flabbergasted essentially because I'm so out of it. He's like, that's why I only work part-time for the most part and go back to Saskatchewan and decompress for a couple weeks, because he gets so amped up performing that he just, you know, he loses it essentially, you know. And
apparently we need to visit Saskatchewan, because everyone who goes to Saskatchewan gets a free cowboy hat.
Nice. Well, the thing, and I know this is a little bit off the trail because we're talking about the interview in specifics, but what Brock said has always brought me back to this idea of one of the things that I have thought the WWE in particular, but wrestling for the most part, needs is an off season.
Right. No,
they need an off season.
Absolutely.
They need 3 months away or something like that, just like sports, any other thing like that. They need an off season. And I think that you have one of the most dominant performers in the business, a celebrated athlete outside of professional wrestling and anything that he's gone into. And he's saying that it stresses him out, and he's the highest paid guy in the company.
Mm-hmm.
For him to say that, I think really cements that, you know, if they're not going to run an off season, they have to start scheduling things in a long form, which we're going to talk about in a little bit of how stories play out, but they have to start scheduling guys to take time off from the machine, because this old idea of 365 days in the year and you're on the road 320 is not working for guys anymore.
No,
it's not working for the audience anymore, you know? And that was, I really think he hammered that home by making those personal admissions.
He does an amazing Steve Austin impression.
He does.
It got a little... So, my final thought on this interview, before I go to the final thought of the interview, I will say that you had mentioned this before. Pat McAfee is a lot. And,
he can be a lot, yeah.
And I kind of believe that it was all little kid pure joy on this interview.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's like this with all of his interviews, but I was like, dude, calm the hell down.
He's really energetic. He's very energetic. And you have to think, probably in the back of his mind, the thing with Pat McAfee is this, and we've talked about it because, 2 years ago we trashed him for playing wrestler on NXT because he wasn't...
Until he proved he could do it.
Yes, I guess you could say until he proved he could do it, because he needed to earn that from us the way he was doing it. But he was essentially cutting, what he thought a wrestling heel promo should look like. It didn't seem natural, No. This, when he talks like this, it's very natural. But
his commentary is the most believable thing I've heard.
Yeah, you could definitely tell when they tell him that he needs to plug something, because you can see the change in inflection in his voice, in his face, and you can also hear it when he's not on the camera. You can pick up when he's like, oh, that's a Vinceism right there, But when he does this show, which is his podcast, which has made him more money than the WWE will ever pay him, he gets really into it, And that's cool that he was marking out for Brock, because he has to know all of the things I just said about Brock's, accolades, but he landed a legit humanizing interview with one of the most standoffish pricks in the world, almost.
So my final thought was going.
Final thought.
I have two final thoughts actually. I thought it was interesting that his.
So is this 1 or 2? Is this the second of the 1, or is this part 1.1 of part 2.3 or 2.0?
This is you're a jerk.
Okay.
So I appreciated the fact that he says, when he talked about his sons, he says they work the farm because little bastards aren't just going to be given a free ride. Thought that was awesome. So my final thought was, and again, this is probably the most humanizing thing that I probably heard. Pat said, "Who's the one wrestler you wish you would have worked off? Who's the one? I didn't get it." And he said, "Steve Austin," and I realized it was my fault.
Well, it wasn't.
It
was Vince's fault.
It was, well, he said, but I understand why it didn't happen.
Yeah. No, and for those of you who might not have seen the interview or might not know what he's talking about, essentially Vince decided to book on a Monday Night Raw with no build-up at all whatsoever that Brock Lesnar was going to beat Steve Austin 1, 2, 3 clean in the middle of the ring in like less than 5 minutes.
And Austin said, that don't work for me, brother.
Yeah, Austin pulled that don't work for me, brother. He was like, no. And Vince said, yes. And Steve said, well, then I'm going to go home. And Vince said, no, you're not. And Steve said, no, I'm going to go home.
And then Steve went home.
And then Steve went home. So, and he said it. He was like, it was not a knock on Brock. He's like, I just didn't see why you would take Stone Cold Steve Austin and not get this guy over at a later venture, not build Brock to Steve Austin so that way Steve Austin could do the job for Brock Lesnar later down the line. He didn't understand why they wanted to do the Hogan Goldberg, just feed him a champion to have him beat him with no build-up at all whatsoever.
And that led to the WrestleMania Steve Austin refereeing. And then after that match, all 3 people disappeared.
All 3 of them left, yeah. And that was, like, we've referenced that match a lot. So my final, do you have anything else?
No, not for this.
Okay. So my final thought for the Pat McAfee show featuring Brock Lesnar is it's an amazing watch. Even if you don't care about professional wrestling, if you don't care about Brock Lesnar, if you don't care about a few of the things that we've talked about, where watch this to watch a real human being have a discussion with another human being about their work, their business, and their life ethics, because you've never seen somebody this standoffish divulge as much as he did earnestly to someone else that I've ever seen. So it's a great interview for that alone. The only thing that I would say is a negative to this is I really didn't like it when Brock dared a fan to try and come after him like they did Seth.
Yeah, that was, well,
which, like I said, it is Brock Lesnar. Nobody's going to fuck with Brock Lesnar, okay? I don't care how dumb you are or how tough you think you might be. Brock Lesnar will fucking destroy 90% of people in this earth, right?
The alpha
but
male.
I didn't think it was good to make that shot. Not a knock on Seth, But I just didn't think it was a good idea to invite.
Because there is that one idiot out there.
Well, there's going to be a lot of them because just like I said, Brock doesn't like to be punched in the face. You know, somebody like me is going to go, I can knock him out, and they're going to try and do it. And they shouldn't do it because Brock will rip your fucking spine out of your back.
So, what's next for Mr. McAfee, you might wonder? Well,
just announced over the weekend, the chairman of the board himself.
We're talking about this next week.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
The rumor is this is leading to a match. Now,
why? Is this WrestleMania? They're going to
WrestleMania.
They're going to have Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. If that's the case, no, don't do this. So one, with this, as we just talked about, you have legit credibility and credentials on your podcast. Don't false book an interview with him to get a match with him. Don't do that unless it's like 30 seconds. If it's 30 seconds of your show, then that's fine. If it turns out to be the whole show, no.
So, so Kevin and I talked about this today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the rumor is that this is going to lead to a WrestleMania match, and I was like, and of course he's like, why would you do this? Why would McAfee wrestle old man? That doesn't make any sense.
Vince is what, 80?
Right. So I said, well, it's probably going to become it's going to be his job on the line because we've been hearing rumors. It's been leaked in the dirt sheets that McAfee likes to say future Hall of Famer. And every time he says future Hall of Famer, it makes this man lose his mind in the back. He likes to just go on his own script, and it makes him lose his mind because he wants to control what the people are saying. He wants more Michael Coles. This is the complete opposite of a Michael Cole.
Which realistically means that he's saying everything that Vince wants him to say.
Right.
Because a rumor is exactly
what you want to be heard.
It's what you want to be heard. Yeah, it wants to get out.
So I said the only way that this makes sense is if that's his job's on the line and he has someone wrestle in his stead. And the only person that makes sense to wrestle in his stead is who?
Austin Theory.
Okay, Austin Theory. So then Kevin goes, well, that's an even worse idea. Because why would you spend all this time building up Austin Theory to beat your commentator, because that doesn't make him look credible.
Or he loses to a commentator.
Because if he loses to the comments, if he wins, then he doesn't have a job anymore.
Maybe Pat's done.
If he loses, then he has no credibility. Because because we're the wrestling audience, and if we haven't been reminded 3 times in a show that he flipped himself off a cage to fight Adam Cole. Oh, we're not going to mention he fought Adam Cole because...
Yeah, because Adam Cole don't work there no more, baby.
It's either going to be an amazing...
I think
it's going to be a disaster.
I think it's going to be... Honestly, if it's a legit interview... It'll probably be pretty boring.
Blah, 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 blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
Vince's voice is shot from years of WrestleMania. And, I mean, legit, Vince should have been the politician, not his wife, okay? Because Vince speaks in sideways talk. And he's great at deflecting, but he's also great at gearing up, emotion and passion out of things like that, So there's no way that if Pat McAfee asks him the question that Vince is going to give him an answer or sidestep everything that he has of, hey Vince, why did you fire 150 people last year?
Well, he's not going to ask that because he works for the man.
Well, yeah, but if he comes out and says, hey, how do you feel about the fact that a company that was barely getting 500,000 viewers is now getting 1 million viewers and kicking the shit almost out of one, if not both, of your primetime major network television shows with 40% of the talent that you just fired that you couldn't get over? He's not going to ask that question. And if he does, do you think Vince is going to give him an answer? Or is he just going to say the old tried true Vince of, well, we don't offer guarantees, we offer opportunities, and we wanted them to have the best opportunities, so, us parting ways was good. We made a financial decision for the company at the, during the time of COVID, blah, 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 whatever. Like, Vince is not going to blow up like he did on Bob Costas anymore.
No.
Unless it's planned. In which case, you'll read it a mile away because you can telegraph that honestly. But yeah, Vince is not going to flip out and threaten to beat the shit out of him like Bob Costas. Not going to happen.
So, maybe we'll put a poll up. Disaster or amazing show. Which do you predict it'll be? Middle
of the road. I think it'll be a straight middle of the road show with a little bit of angle at the end.
Okay, so... We mentioned, as Kevin mentioned in the intro, we had an event this week happen that has not happened since the likes of Bobby Roode. Rick Rude. I remember very distinctly watching this happen. I lost my mind because back in the day, Raw pre-taped their show and I didn't know that because I didn't have access to the internet and the smart and the dirt sheets that you did.
Do you know where I lived? We didn't get internet until like
2 weeks ago.
I mean,
so the event we're talking about, of course, is a wrestler.
See, you're thinking internet like internet, man. There was dial-up. Remember dial-up?
Absolutely.
We were getting like 15 kilobytes a second.
Miss Kyla Sparks showed up on SmackDown and AEW in the same night.
Yeah.
How could she be in two places at once? Well, obviously Dynamite was recorded on Wednesday night. But do you think when she was put on Kiss Cam, Vince had any idea that she had been in the crowd? Or she'd actually wrestled a pay-per-view? Or a show?
Probably not. Probably not.
Do you think he cares? Now?
No, he doesn't care.
No, probably not either.
The only thing I think he probably cares about is, hey, legal, does this violate her contract in any way, or does this create some kind of weird paradox copyright of this woman's face being aired at the same time that could get us in trouble? Nope. Okay, cool. Fire her in 2 weeks.
She's not even on air talent. She was kissed. She was probably given $200.
So you're telling me they singled out this bitch, not knowing that she was this bitch, to do this?
No, because so whenever security comes down, or whenever they want to feed Brock wrestle,
where was this at? Was this in? This wasn't Seattle, was it?
No.
Where was this at?
I think
Where was SmackDown at this week? Was it in Boston?
Hold on.
Okay. Well, sorry, I asked you a question. My point is this. You cannot tell me that she doesn't know people or people don't know her, and that, no offense, they picked her out of the crowd to be on the Kiss
Cam. No, she's
an
independent wrestler. What I was getting at is I'll find out where this was taking place. But when Braun Strowman was destroying local wrestlers in Seattle, it was the local wrestlers that wrestled on Defy and the local wrestling channel.
Yes.
So local wrestlers, whenever they have security standing guard, it's always the local wrestlers. Whenever they want to have a squash down, they use a local wrestler.
Which they really don't do hardly anymore due to the fact of legal
Right, and I'm sure she got paid a one night's fee of $50 and a kiss.
I imagine so. So they were in Hershey, Pennsylvania, apparently.
And so was AEW.
You know what? I take my statement back. That probably was the hottest girl in Pennsylvania.
So they were both in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, it was in Hershey. So yeah, she probably was the cutest girl in the crowd at Pennsylvania because, well,
what would be really interesting to find out is which show sold more tickets? The SmackDown show or the AEW show?
Well, they didn't run the same building, so that's...
it was the same town?
Yeah, I don't think that was the same building. It was just the same town, because you got to think, Vince at this point, he doesn't run buildings. He runs arenas for everything now. You know, he wants 12,000, 20,000 people.
It happened.
There. Yeah, it happened. It's crazy to think that happened. It doesn't mean anything. It won't mean anything.
Makes me sad.
Yeah.
He wasn't looking to leave. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave, but he didn't like the contract extension.
So I can tell you exactly what happened with this, okay? This right here. This is what happened. As many people may know, but for those who are not aware, I had to figure out how I was going to word that for a second.
You just don't want to diarrhea the mouth like I do?
No, yes. No, it's just I had to figure out how to explain it in the much like Adam Cole. Cesaro had a contract, and that contract had run out. So he had been working on a contract extension since then, while he had continued to appear on WWE television while they renegotiated his deal, right? And I guarantee you this is what happened. All right, we're on my contract extension. We got to re-up for next month. Hey, real quick, I got a question. What are your guys' plans for me for WrestleMania? We don't have any. Does that mean I'm not on the show? Am I not booked? What's going on? Be like, well, we don't have any plans for you right now. We'll get back to you. Okay. Hey, contract extension's up. We got to renegotiate and looking to re-sign that deal. Hey, what are you guys' plans for me for WrestleMania? Well, we still don't have any yet. Okay, I don't think I want to be here anymore.
Right.
That I guarantee you that's how that played out. They just and then you got to think the reports of, well, Vince just doesn't see you as a main eventer, Claudio.
Right.
They're like, okay.
Do you think it was you're not offering me enough money, or he just like, you're just not offering me any work?
Probably both. Because you got to think WrestleMania is a huge payoff for anybody. And
well, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably money because they probably lowballed him out because Claudio's over 40 at this point. And you know that they just have this issue of anybody who's over 40 except for apparently AJ Styles. And I assume that's what happened is they probably sat back and went, well, we got AJ over here who Vince likes. And then we have Cesaro over here that Vince isn't on. Both guys' contracts are up. AJ wants $3 million. Cesaro wants 1.2 or whatever. Well, why don't we just not pay Cesaro that and just pay AJ the $3 million, and we don't have to worry about spending $5 million on these guys. We'll just pay one guy $3 million. And that's exactly probably how that went in the office.
All right, so here's your opportunity to call bullshit.
Okay. I don't believe it. I'm calling bullshit. I wanted to go back and take a screenshot and send it to Joseph this week, but I did not get to, about Brock Lesnar apparently going off script and kicking a hole in the Elimination Chamber pod at the Saudi show because he was frustrated and decided he wanted to get into the match. Call bullshit.
Mike did say last week, I saw score marks, I saw
You could see the circle.
I'm guaranteeing if I go watch it right now, if we go watch it right now together, we won't see them.
There's no way they digitally edited that out. I don't think that they have that ability for that. But regardless, so this is the thing that screws this up, okay? Unless they are mic'd up and somebody told Brock, we're running late on time, and Brock just decided to kick the thing open and go out. Because look at the sequence, all right? Look at the sequence. Bobby's laid out. Bobby's escorted out. Bobby's not coming back. It looked real. Like I said, I believed it. Mm-hmm. Turns out it wasn't real. Well, Bobby's injury is real, but it wasn't real what happened in the match. It had already happened previously. And then they do the do thing of who's going to come out of the pod next, and it happens to land on one of two people who can't participate in the match, and then 5 seconds later, Brock Lesnar decides to kick a hole in the pod.
Right, because them two were supposed to just have, the two people who were in the ring were supposed to have another 2 minutes of match.
The people who were in the match, they were going to do 3 more minutes of match?
Yeah.
No, I call bullshit on that.
And they're still going with the protocol. Concussion protocol.
Yes, we're going to talk about that when we discuss Raw coming up here in just a few minutes. But yeah, the ongoing storyline with Bobby Lashley's injury at Elimination Chamber is starting to become offensive.
And another story that you shared with us.
As I said on the page, and I will reiterate, I love Shawn Michaels as a performer. I think Mike Hickenbottom is a piece of shit. And I know that got guys like Gregory Helms blacklisted and yelled at and booed by fans for years because he said he did not like Shawn Michaels backstage because he was a fucking prick to him and got his program with The Rock and all this other stuff canceled because he just didn't like him and he thought that him doing the choke slam didn't make any sense and all this other stuff. Like I said, I love Shawn. Shawn's one of my favorite performers of all time. I honestly think the person's a piece of trash.
Now, what I thought was interesting was this writer, and I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but he's claiming that FTR made his life hell. That every time he would try to bring a script to FTR, they would lose their mind. Now, here's what I find is interesting. I 100% believe that. FTR, the wrestlers, the people, the characters that we've gotten to know, don't seem like they really want a script. They feel, they're very much we want this to be real again. We don't want to be carnied out. It's kind of their shtick in AEW. It's like we got tired of being told they don't want to be puppets. They want to be wrestlers. They want to fight. They want to have tag ropes.
But yet they're puppets for
a new guy,
somebody else, and they're the muscle for somebody else, and they wrestle garbage matches with the Young Bucks, and
they don't wrestle. They if you watch them wrestle the Young Bucks, they do their best to keep the garbage part out. They have to. They're still one of the best wrestling tag teams in the world.
So, recapping the story for a minute, for those of you who are maybe a little bit lost in the woods for this, Dax Harwood has come out and said that while he was working with Shawn in NXT, things were great. Everything was awesome. Shawn was a big help to them. And then he said sometime later, while they were doing a show, he had talked to Shawn about some personal things that were bothering him in his life, some stuff with his wife, blah, 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 essentially. Shawn gave him some great advice. He felt very good about this. And then afterwards, at one of the Legend Night tapings, when Shawn got around Waltman and Hunter and everything like that, he chose to use what Dax had confessed to him to make fun of him in front of all of the clique. You know, oh, this dude's having trouble at home with his wife. This dude's having this. He's drinking a little bit too much beers. What's going on with this guy? Ha ha ha.
Kind of a prick thing to do.
Pretty much a prick thing to do. And that's the thing with Shawn Michaels. He's a prick. He's always been a prick. And I'm sorry, you know, if I don't mean to step on the lines of your conversion or anything like that, but sometimes, you know, a tiger just don't change its stripes. You know, he can be a wonderful human being. He can be full of faith and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, he's still just a prick. And he's always been one.
Well, it's funny, and not to you know, it's funny today. So only because you said that, I have to read this. So today at church, at my sermon, the sermon today that our pastor did, it was about it was all about guardrails, you know, warnings in there, and then one of the things was like, is this gonna, if I do this, is it going to make me a better person, a better Christian, or make me look like I'm not the person I'm supposed to be? So obviously that was a guardrail that HBK decided to, you know, and it's like, when I'm with, one of the things you ask the question, am I doing this to impress my friends or to impress my God? And obviously sometimes, you know, I'm doing this to impress my friends.
I mean, I guess I get that ideology for it. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's not cool. And in stuff with this, people at work are difficult to deal with, okay?
Well, he also says that was right after WrestleMania, and they...
Wait. Let me get this, okay? Because fuck this guy to a certain extent because of this, okay? I might not like you, and I'm kind of an upfront about things. Be like, hey man, you know, I just don't like you, dude. You know, be like, I don't really want to spend time with you. I don't want to hang out with you. But if we have something that we have to do that we're mutually there for at work or something like that.
Like a radio show, I guess.
Yeah, like that or something. Be like, we can accomplish that task. You can count on me to perform my duties to the best of my ability, because I'm not going to make myself look bad because I don't like you. And even in a certain situation, like, cops or something, be like, I'm not going to betray you and get you in trouble because I don't like you, okay? But if you come to me and say, hey, man, look, I know we haven't always had the best of relationships, but I need an ear right now. I need to talk to you. I need to talk to somebody who will give me advice on my life right now. And you say, all right, man, let's do this. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit how difficult FTR was to work with because they didn't like the script or they didn't like the spot or the finish, and they went to Sean and complained because maybe they felt that they could do that or had some kind of kindred spirit of being held back for their belief on it. I don't give a shit about any of that. If Dax went to Sean and said, hey, man, I'm having trouble at home. I need to talk to somebody who has admitted to having trouble at home. Okay, man, let's talk. Hey, Joey, tell you about Dax, man? Guess what, man? His wife don't want to fuck him because he's a drug addict. Isn't that great? No, that's not how that works. Fuck my kick and bottom.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if he was directing that all directly to me or not, but we might not be friends. I thought we were.
No, I'm not directing that at you at all.
I thought we were friends, but apparently we just do a show together now.
Oh, I'm giving it straight up. You have come to me and said, hey, man, do you need to talk? And I'm like, no, man, I'm good. You're like, but if I need to, thanks for the ear. Now, if I came to you and said, Joey, I really need to talk to somebody, and then you throw that shit up on, like, Facebook or something, or go tell a friend or something, be like, hey, guess what, man? Fucking Mike's having problems. Ha ha ha.
So
no, we're not going to be friends anymore.
Well, I totally understand that. The thing of it, the thing with this article, clickbaitiness makes you feel like you probably didn't read this article, and that's fine. I
didn't see this article.
Right. So that's fine.
Except for that. Yeah.
Right. Which is fine, because everything you think was in that article was not. Basically, all this guy says is, before Dax Hardware starts passing judgments against other people, he wasn't the easiest person to work with either. Again, it had nothing to do with that.
Again, work,
right.
One thing. Personal problems, asking someone to give you guidance to have it thrown back in your face is a completely separate thing. You could be a dick at work. Absolutely. But you cannot take someone's private information and use that for the purpose of making your buddies laugh.
I agree. All right, it's time to talk about the week of wrestling.
Raw sucked. NXT sucked. SmackDown sucked. That's about... I didn't really get a chance to watch much AEW because all of the Marvel shows are leaving Netflix tomorrow, and we realized that we had not completed a couple seasons of stuff, so we ended up just watching all of that for the most of the week, getting caught up on the Marvel stuff. Finally got to see all of the rest of Season 3 of Daredevil. It's a fucking great show, man. So sad that that's going to disappear.
All right, so we're going to talk about the WWE stuff first. I thought I had the NXT
A wild Finn Balor appears. Is that going to be our thing as opposed to a wild slap nuts?
Yes. So, yeah, Tommaso Ciampa's like, I'm here to fuck shit up, and I need a partner, and I found one. And Finn Balor, like, reminded everyone why he's a badass. Mm-hmm. And that was the last time we'll see him for a while. We opened the show with... so the most important thing is that we had a wild Finn appearance. So we're not going to be seeing Brock on Raw for quite a while. Apparently.
Brock is not contracted to be on Raw until after WrestleMania.
So he's going to be on SmackDown now.
So we do not have a Raw heavyweight champion appearing on Raw for 6 weeks.
60 days.
For 6 weeks. What is wrong with you people?
Now, well,
and we're going to talk about Brock and the championship and something in a minute once we get to SmackDown.
Okay, that's what.
But
or are we going to talk about it in the next bullet point?
Well, I mean, I guess
because they said they mentioned it on Raw multiple times.
Okay, so here's the thing. We did not know if they were actually going to do a champion versus champion. Oh, sorry. It was billed as champion versus champion, not title versus title.
But they kept saying both things, and they kept...
Yeah. Now they're just going with unification for the belt, okay? So, Brock Lesnar, the Raw champion, is going to fight Roman Reigns, the SmackDown champion, at WrestleMania, where winner will take all. So, whoever wins the match will get both belts. We'll talk about the match either later or in a future episode when we talk about prediction things and what those consequences will mean based off the outcome. Here's the thing with that. Brock has a title match at the Madison Square Garden show against a yet-to-be-determined opponent because...
No. It's against Bobby Lashley
unless... No, you didn't see that.
No, I'm saying when we're still talking about Raw.
So on Raw... What happened is that Brock is supposed to fight Bobby, but Bobby, as we know, is out with shoulder surgery for 4 months. Paul Heyman comes out and says that
it's concussion protocol.
Bobby Lashley is still under concussion protocol right now, and if he makes it to Madison Square Garden, blah, blah, blah. So they're continuing to book the fake storyline for the fake concussion protocol, which pisses me off because it's almost vulgar to use a concussion storyline that isn't real for people who have had legitimate concussions and had their careers ended, including on a show where you had a concussion protocol storyline, you had a match that never happened because they were too injured to continue, and you also had a legit, almost scary botch in the middle of the ring when Madcap landed on his neck and almost killed himself.
And they did concussion protocol for him!
And he's not having to deal with anything because he's over here. So this is terrible. Raw sucked so hard right from the bat because it was so inconsistently bad. And you already have information out there that's real. And you have to jazzercise it, but you jazzercise it in such a way that it becomes offensive. People die from shit, okay? They have their careers ended. If the man doesn't have a concussion, they false booked this match. They legit false booked Bobby Lashley versus Brock at Madison Square Garden up until the point that they removed it later on. Because they just... How can you not be that spontaneously creative when you literally tear the script up and throw it out 20 minutes before you go to air? How can you not come up with a better plan than... Unless... This is what makes it worse too. They're going with concussion protocol because they're trying to make themselves look good that they have concussion protocols in place because they've been sued 45 times for giving guys concussions and CTE and ending their careers. But you just had a guy get concussion protocol and he's wrestling on a show a week later. The fuck?
Alright, so,
I'm not going to talk about this. This was horrid. This was bad. I hate this. I don't understand if it's going to be them versus the Mysterios or them versus, I heard Stone Cold. I've heard so many names. I don't want to see this as a WrestleMania main event card.
So, the only part about this that was interesting
was that he called him majestic?
No.
Or whatever he called him? No. Dashing. He called him dashing.
Yes, he called him dashing.
Because,
which made
Cody Rhodes!
Right.
That was the other thing, is it might be Cody Rhodes and Dominic Mysterio. Welcome back to the E, Cody.
That was the thing. Is
American Stardust.
Everybody, I actually thought first, so this is how they're bringing back Cody Rhodes to work with The Miz. Cody, I hope you were cashing and enjoying all those paychecks. That's my thought.
The funny thing about this is I hate to cut you off and jump in. Like I actually do, because you had a pretty clear thought. But I have to ask this, okay? They got in trouble when they allowed... Nothing is said on these shows except for, like, what, Roman and Brock. Maybe one or two other people can actually get away with saying something not what Vince wants to hear, right?
Right.
Maybe. They got in trouble a while back when they real-world referenced the firings. Because the girls got in there. Liv Morgan cut a promo on Becky about her fat contract affecting her partners, essentially, right?
Right. And
would they let him say something like that as a nod to the fans about Cody if it isn't booked?
Well, the thing is, Miz also has some leeway too, or maybe it was Edge that had the leeway.
That's what I'm asking.
Because Edge was like, yeah, while you were in Hollywood doing Dancing with the Stars, I believe your best friend was fired?
Yeah. And like I said, they didn't double down on that either. When they got fan backlash, which I said was stupid because I got everybody talking, and it was something real that people could talk about, not scripted of like, oh, my wife hit your wife in the head with a fucking brick. That's what they went to. They went from a real thing of, hey, you bitter old bastard with your fat contract while I was away, my buddy got fired. Well, your buddy got fired because you didn't protect him. Well, I wasn't here to protect him because I was pushing the company agenda on a completely different show. Where were you at for the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Oh, trying to get your own pockets filled with your crappy little sci-fi movie TV roles, Great. That would have been great. No, they said one thing and everybody got butthurt, and so they went with, here, hit this woman with a brick.
Good point.
I don't think he would say something about Cody involving him if it wasn't booked in some way, because it's
he was
just
scripted to say it.
It's too scripted. But with this, again, I don't want to see Miz and Logan Paul versus anyone.
Well, remember,
even if it is Cody to get a pop.
Well, remember, a year ago, they were supposed to be against each other, and they got booed.
I remember.
So now they're going to partner up.
Yes, because for some reason, the WWE thought that Logan Paul was going to be a babyface. For the people in wrestling who know who Logan Paul is, I'm sorry, but in the places you were at the time building up to this, the average Joe is not going to cheer Logan Paul.
I have no clue who the dude really is.
He's a YouTuber.
Exactly. I really have no idea.
He's a YouTuber. And again, we said it on Kevin's show a while back, but I will say this. It's like Mike Hickenbottom. I don't like them. I don't like the Paul brothers, but I respect the hustle.
Right,
absolutely,
but the thing is,
I respect it. These are guys who got famous doing YouTube and doing offensive, silly stuff. They're the ones who went to Japan and threw Pokeballs at the Japanese people and were like, oh, ching chong chiki tiksa. They're the ones who went to the suicide forest and stuff and found the dead body and filmed it and all that other crap.
Do you think the average wrestling fan knows who they are?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say the average one does, just because we do live in the digital age. But they made their money from YouTube. They continue to make a butt ton of money off of it, which got them cameos in movies, which got them boxing matches with Floyd fucking Mayweather, All
right, so here we got
people know it. More importantly, Vince thinks that the mainstream media knows who this is, and this is somebody who likes wrestling and wants to work there for, whatever he's paying.
So we got another celebrity for WrestleMania. All right, cool. We're going to talk about that again. So, and finally, probably the best promo of the entire show was Edge's. Honestly, the only thing that made Raw kind of watchable. He gave a very compelling. I know you may not love Edge as much or whatever.
Wait, why are you throwing words in my mouth about Edge?
Point was, he came out and he gave an open challenge for WrestleMania. I need to be in WrestleMania, and he referenced 3 different people with words like phenomenal, the inner demon, and I can make you give you that spotlight to shine that you never got. Is it AJ? Is it Cody? Is it Priest? Or is it somebody else? What's your initial prediction?
You know what it's going to be? I mean, the funny thing is they did the Finn and they did the Finn and Ciampa thing, but it's not going to be him, okay? See that. But remember, he called out and said he wanted a real challenge, and the Demon came out, just drop that name and put that name right there. It'll probably be a 4-way with Edge, AJ, Priest, and Finn or something, because none of these guys have anything to do.
That's interesting.
None of them. We're going to talk about my thoughts on that here in a minute once we recap this out.
So, anyway. The show kind of consisted of Chad Gable and Otis versus the brothers. Chad Gable and Otis cheated.
They're dead. They're dead. The Street Profits are fucking dead. Moving on. Finn Balor and Tommaso Ciampa defeated Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Why has Dolph Ziggler been sentenced to serve time in NXT?
Because
also, why did he? This is what I think. Okay, and I know we're a little long in the tooth on this.
No,
but
we're doing great. We're doing great.
Well, we still have all of AEW to chew through,
Very true.
But is it because Robert Roode for 4 seconds got over at, what was it, the Royal Rumble when he made the TNA reference that him and Dolph are now being sent to NXT?
Honestly, I think it's...
And also with Dolph Ziggler, I'm sorry, I know people like him. I'm not knocking him on that. I think he's a great athletic talent, but every time he gets on the mic, he kills whatever program he's in.
I think it's because nobody's watching this, so we're going to keep sending people to the show and cross-pollinate.
But people were watching this.
And they fucked that all up, so they got to redo something. So now we're going to keep cross-promoting and pollinating and weaving in and out.
But no one... This is the problem. You know what? We're going to just jump to this real quick and discuss that for a second, okay? Because this is the problem with that. AJ Styles shows up and has his whole little weird session with Grayson Waller, right? Okay, Grayson Waller's a fucking nobody.
Right.
All right? And he's slowly killing whatever goodness was in LA Knight, right?
Right.
Okay, so here's the problem with that. AJ Styles was stuck in a mid-card position with a terrible mid-card storyline where he was getting his ass handed to him by the Colossus known as Omasis each week, okay?
Where's he at?
Not talking about that yet. We'll get there, okay? My point is that AJ was nowhere on the card that mattered.
Right.
But he goes to NXT and challenges your new top heel.
Right.
Followed by Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode have lost every fucking match for 6 months now since they lost the tag belts on SmackDown and then got moved over to here. So now you're telling me that Dolph Ziggler, the mid-card tag team, been here for 20 years, we don't know what to do with you, you're never going to be a main eventer, again, except for in a tag match with Robert Roode somewhere. We don't know what to do with you, but we have you under a multi-year fat contract. Go down to NXT and challenge our world fucking champion?
Well,
literally, sorry Dolph, mid-card talent is beating up your world champion. Not Brock, not him, not who?
Okay, I see where you're going with
not
this.
Seth Rollins, not KO.
Okay.
This show has no one. Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre said he wanted to go there. Send Drew McIntyre to NXT because then you have a credible threat to Braun Breaker. Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is kicking the teeth out of your world champion on your show. That's going to make people want to see it because Dolph?
Okay, I see how you're looking at that as, a mid-carder can be...
Oh, God, I did not even get the next match on the card.
We're going to talk about that in a second. Okay, all right. So I get what you're saying. You're saying, so basically, your champion is only as good as a mid-carder. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. What the coolest part of this, the match, the programming, is when, I don't remember which one I said, 3 of the 4 of us have been NXT champions.
Yeah.
And... So
okay,
let me finish.
Sorry, go ahead.
And Dolph's like, so I want to be part of that group, and I could do great things. And I've never been NXT champion. I didn't have an opportunity to be NXT because NXT wasn't around when I got here. I got thrown right into the thing, and I've been a world champion. You guys have been NXT champion. I've been a real champion. Okay, I can say it. It was also
there you go. You said it. Oh, I've been a real champion, which goes to show how they view it. A year ago, Edge. The Royal Rumble winner, returning conqueror Edge, was on NXT telling Finn Balor, yeah, I'll probably pick this one and this one, but that interests me because I've never had it. But your Royal Rumble winner, Hall of Fame veteran Edge was challenging your world champion. Dolph Ziggler. If Dolph Ziggler was credible in a world championship role, why is he not on this show that doesn't have a world champion?
Okay, I get
for
you.
6 weeks.
I see.
Also, the world champion of this show doesn't have a challenger because he's in concussion protocol for 4 months in his shoulder.
Okay, I see your point.
He got a concussion in his shoulder.
So, my favorite part of last week's show was when Mike said, well, I never have to watch Rhea Ripley wrestle Nikki Ash ever again.
I was wrong. Also, this went 2 minutes and 43 seconds and defeated her with a pin. Did we not resolve this at Blood Diamond, where she killed this girl in the middle of the ring and she ran from her?
As soon as the match happened, I'm like, oh, Mike's going to lose his mind.
Didn't get it. I did get Shelton Benjamin versus Damian Priest. At this point, I'm convinced, I don't mean to be vulgar when I say this, but I feel like Shelton is suffering from, Macho Man internet rumors at this point. Did Shelton bang Steph and he's being punished?
Maybe.
Because there is no reason to take Shelton Benjamin, who is legitimately former tag team partner with Brock Lesnar, one of the best athletes, one of the best pure natural athletes that they've ever had in the history of their company, and that's a long list of good athletes that they've had, and Shelton is definitely in the top 5, top 10, I would say, of pure naturally gifted athletes that they have that has really been great. He lost to Damian Priest in 3 minutes.
Because Damian Priest went demon.
No, he didn't. He didn't. I thought that storyline was done.
No.
I thought when he won the last match at the pay-per-view where the Damian side of him did not take over because he was able to comment and keep his championship belt and win, I thought that was done. And then he comes out and they're immediately like, don't get on his Damian side. I'm like, what the fuck? Why does he have split personality? Dana Brooke and Reggie don't give a shit. Bianca Belair and Doudrop. This was actually not bad.
Amazing match. No. Let's go talk about Dana Brooke and Reggie for a second.
I don't want to.
No, I'm gonna.
I don't want to.
It's okay. We're gonna, baby.
Why?
Because
I hate Reggie. I hate Dana Brooke. I hate the 24/7 championship. I cannot believe that they employ 25 people in the background for Reggie to do a stunt on a trampoline. I'm sorry, Reggie. I hope you blow your knees out.
Have you noticed that Reggie's gained quite a bit of weight since he's gotten there?
What else is he gonna do?
Okay, I'm kidding.
He shows up, he sets a catering for 5 hours, shoots his segment, and goes home.
The question I have for you, though I really want to ask
Okay, ask this question.
Is, so, Reggie was helping Dana Brooke hold the belt, right?
And then he took it.
And then he took it, he's like, hey, if we're not going to date, I love you, you don't love me, then I got to do what I got to do. And he takes the belt from her. And then the next week, he lays down in the middle of the ring for her. Do you think it's because somebody's like, oh, yeah, that didn't work, we need to put the belt back on her? Or do you think they just really have no idea what to do?
There is no thought process in this at all whatsoever. And unfortunately, and I'm going to say this, even though we trash talking, Reggie, you traded down. You had Sasha Banks and Carmella, and then you went to Dana Brooke. All right? You traded down, brah.
Doudrop is a phenomenal wrestler. She really is. Her and Bianca had an amazing match, and it showed.
I thought this was fine.
And then the main event was
also real quick. How can you not get behind Bianca Belair? How can you not?
I can tell you how.
I mean, I'm sure, but. And, she gets criticism because she's always skipping and happy down to the ring and stuff like that, but then she's like, girl! But...
It's her dialogue that drives that batshit crazy.
I love it. Well, she's from, she's from the southern area. She's I don't know if she's like straight hood, but, but she's...
Girl!
That's how people talk.
I know.
That's how real people talk. And
she's like from the ATL.
No, she's from
I know.
She's from Texas, isn't she? But yeah, but still, how can you not get behind Bianca Belair when she picks up Doudrop and KODs her in the middle of the ring?
Doudrop put herself on the ring for her. You could see her stepping up.
I am sorry, but you know what? That's fine.
Oh no, I mean, I don't.
You know what? The weights are on a rack before you pick them up.
I get it.
You go to do a deadlift or a squat. The weights are hanging.
No, and that's a credit.
Clanging and banging.
It's credit to Doudrop because she made it look good.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell when she goes to do the up the side of the rope spots that Bianca's going to catch her and get her on there because, I mean, but how can you not cheer Bianca Belair?
And then Kevin and Seth are going to be added to the triple threat match because they beat Randy Orton and Riddle.
Hate everything about this. I hate it so much. I hate
it. Was kind of a clean win, wasn't it?
Seth was so fucking annoying in this show. He literally did the Joker laugh with every pause in a sentence.
Yep.
I hated it. Right there where I stopped, where a comma would be in my dialogue, Seth Rollins would have been laughing. I think at this point, the reason he's doing it is he just doesn't care.
Right.
He doesn't care. He's like, they got nothing. I'm just going to do me.
Right. And Becky Lynch was on the show.
And this match got 3 3/4 stars.
I mean, you got 4 very talented people in the ring.
Well, I guess the match overall wasn't bad.
Becky Lynch was on the show. So NXT.
Oh, but she was confident Becky Lynch this week. She was not. She was not sorrowful, sad Becky Lynch this week. She was confident this week.
Will Lita be back?
I don't care.
Oh.
I don't care if Lita comes back. I don't care. I'm sick of people coming back.
Oh,
I'm sick of nostalgia.
We'll talk about that.
I'm so sick of nostalgia. I don't want to see Steve. I love Stone Cold, and he will get a major, as I said, he'll get a major rating pop on Raw. He'll get a ton of interest if he comes in, if he actually works a match. I don't want to see Steve Austin wrestle. I haven't seen Steve Austin wrestle in 17 years. See Scott Hall and Kevin Nash in TNA. See Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair.
So the newest news, which I'll break the news here instead of waiting for next week, is apparently X-Pac's coming back.
Yeah, X-Pac. He wrestled a match.
He wrestled?
I want to say he wrestled Matt Cardona.
Oh, no, he's coming back to WWE.
Oh, yes, he's coming back because he wants to end his career there.
So NXT had a lot of nothing.
NXT was a terrible show.
Until the end.
Until the end, which was also terrible. This bitch is still crazy and it makes no sense, and she's literally talking to herself, but also doesn't know that she's talking to herself because her partner, Wendy Chu, said, hey...
I talked to your friend.
Why is Wendy Chu teaming up with her, of all people? Wendy Chu is at least seemingly sane. So
but
why
she's
is
not
she going,
sleeping.
So why is she going, hey, crazy person, I talked to your imaginary friend and they said, we cool, brah. And she said, who are you talking about?
What imaginary friend? And then talks to the imaginary friend.
And then proceeds to talk to the imaginary friend. I don't know. Okay. I don't like Dakota Kai. We have mentioned before, we are not fans. I think she is a shit wrestler. She's horrible. People see things in her. I don't see it, okay? What did she do to aggravate someone, I'm assuming Pritchard, to where they said, hey, you're kind of like cocky, confident, heel kind of thing. We want you to have a psychotic break over the Dusty Cup, That's what they're doing. It's legitimately, she had a friendship with Raquel that was injured, she ruined because they won the Dusty Cup. They won the women's tag belts. Raquel was the female champion, and she thought that Raquel wasn't focusing on them, only focusing on herself, so she went after Raquel to get the belt, which she didn't get, and then Raquel beat her, and then she disappeared, and now she has gone crazy. So she will legit have a psychotic break over the Dusty Cup because she's traumatized at the fact that the Dusty Cup is what led to the destruction of her and Raquel's friendship.
And she told Chu, I'm crazy. Yes. You shouldn't partner with me. I don't have a good track record.
But this week she doesn't know that she's crazy. How is she allowed in the building? Because also, don't forget, you legitimately had a crazy person try and get in your building and tried to fucking, molest and break into this person's house. Why?
Why are they in a lounge? I
don't know. I don't know why this is happening.
And then we got FarmersOnly.com.
Does anybody remember that? You don't have to be lonely at FarmersOnly.com.
Yeah, when I'm in a cornfield, I like to stalk you.
Oh, God. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the rednecks on the show who don't wrestle anymore, who are literally there to do backstage vignettes, again, we have budget cuts for people who are legitimately doing things in the ring and in major programs at the time, but these guys who haven't wrestled in forever, and we have been following the trials and tribulations of one of their love lives, they spent segments of the entire show trying to get this guy to record a video for a dating app to when all it took was someone to walk up and go, click with a smartphone and go, there, I just created your profile. All you gotta do is swipe left and right. And he's like, what are you talking about here, Billy Bob? And
because
Billy Bob's
he thought
like,
it was...
ha 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 ha, this is great. I'm gonna take this phone content and go upload it. And the guy was like, what the... But this goes into one of the other things, okay?
But it was like the old 80s video.
But you are... Yes. If someone is taking their phone and recording you, okay, and you get upset about that person recording you in a private moment and embarrassing you, why are you doing it in front of the other 12 guys behind you in a stagehand with a boom mic over your head with a major motion picture camera? Why do we have to pretend the camera people don't exist unless Shawn Michaels wants to super kick someone? Which goes into the other segment that took place on this involving the Dusty Cup, where last week we got to see how Raquel Gonzalez was going to train, what is that little bitch's name?
Cora Jade.
Cora Jade. She was going to trade Cora Jade. This week we got to see how Cora wants to have Raquel relax, and they went to some boring ass zip line park in Florida. Okay, it was stupid
because you have to have another montage.
It legit was a montage, and all they needed was the music from Full House playing in the background, because they were like walking along, and then the segment would cut, and then they were like pointing at stuff. It was horrible. It was meant to be interestingly serious, but it was the same thing that they did with MSK and Riddle. Keep in mind, the reason I'm referencing this is, why do we have to pretend the camera people don't exist? Because the previous week's show, when Raquel was teaching Cora Jade her training method, Cora Jade was asleep in her bedroom and with a cameraman filming her when Raquel called her to wake her up at 5 in the morning. And she's like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm sleeping. With the cameraman in the room? Stop pretending that the camera doesn't exist. Stop doing clever... The only reason you should ever go to the back is... All right, Joseph, you got a match coming up here in a minute with Kurt Hennig. What are your thoughts? All right, Joseph, you just had a match with Kurt Hennig. What are your thoughts? It's the only reason you should ever go to the back.
So the way New Japan does it.
Yes, or the way anybody did it for 40 fucking years. So,
next we're going to move on to Chase U is still the thing, okay? And we're going to get to this at the end of the show. So, remember a couple weeks ago, Dante Chen had this... I got destroyed and I got embarrassed, and we're going to have this redemption story, and the redemption story didn't go well.
You mean the thing that I blasted apart, and then they decided to do it even worse?
So this week they doubled down on that?
Well, the best part is they said, this is how fucking bad things are on the show right now, okay? You have a guy who got hurt, and he went back home to Singapore, because he's their first Singapore-born contract signee, okay? So he got hurt, goes back to Singapore. His fucking, father dies, who was his inspiration to be a wrestler. You can see some of our archive shows where we went in depth about this person's character, okay? Now, with that, he comes back, and for some reason... Poker Room Duke, who is no longer Poker Room Duke, who is now ex-gambling addict, addicted to shaving his head Duke, who is also apparently sexing one of the other females. I I don't know or care enough about her to commit that chick's name to memory other than the fact that she's Indy Hartwell's tag team partner, and she's kind of like bodybuilder strong, but she doesn't look like a bodybuilder. There's nothing about her that's interesting. She looks like one of the Iconics, okay? I thought she was one of the Iconics, honestly, when she showed up. I thought she was not fucking Fran Drescher, the other one, okay? Now, well, actually, what it is she looks like Fran Drescher and the other one put together. Because she has the hair and the face, but she has the height and the build of the other one, okay? It's like that's why they fired them. Because they decided what we pay two, we could have in one. Alright? Apparently he's banging her. So what? Duke has more active storylines in the show right now than almost anyone, including your world champion. Duke is involved with Cameron Grimes. Duke is involved with the North American Championship. Duke is involved in this backstage segment with Indy Hartwell and their chick and Dexter Loomis. And he's also involved in this Dante Chin thing. But guess what? Dante Chin seeking his redemption for the horrible attack that Duke performed on him and beat him up in his injured knee 1 month ago. Just now cycled back around. Guess what happened? He fucking lost in what, 4 minutes?
After he got the
Oh no! 2 minutes and 17 seconds. You legit could have had a feud. Have this man say everything that I just said about his wounded pride and the attack on his knee to end his career from this vile bastard Duke Hudson. Duke beat him clean. Clean!
After being attacked on his way down to the ramp, Chen did the attack on Duke on him.
Oh, yes, thank you. I forgot that. Guess what? The babyface jumped the heel before the match.
Because he's so pissed off about.
But the babyface blindsides the heel, who then loses in 2 minutes. I watched TNA a decade ago. There's a reason they don't have network television anymore, because of shit like this.
Alright. I am convinced that Trick Williams doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
I'm convinced that Trick Williams knew what he was talking about, and whoever is producing him told him, no, don't do that. You're Flavor Flav.
Because he's like, he's not going to do the match. He's not going to do the match. Yo, I'm going to take the match. Because he's going to whoop your ass. He's going to whoop your ass.
Yeah, he had a clear, spoken dialogue character who made sense because what they forgot that I have to remember is, if you remember, Trick was the one that corrupted Carmelo into deciding to be a bad guy.
Yes!
Because he came to him and was like, player, listen. He's like,
when you shoot, you don't miss.
Yeah, when you shoot, you don't... He said that. When you shoot, you don't miss. And he told him... Now, I'm glad that he's not overrunning Carmelo, and he's letting him talk, which is fine, because he is the star, realistically. But he has nothing to do now. You don't even need him.
Well, he gets to lose to Cameron Grimes.
Oh, my God. NXT sucks. It sucks so hard right now.
So we're going to talk about the new...
Oh, wait. Yes, the debut of Nikita Lyons.
I wanted so hard to put the picture up, but I didn't. I figured it had been shared more than enough times on all social medias, and I didn't want you to accuse me of objectifying.
Oh, well, no. Let's be real here for a minute. She is...
She's pretty.
No, not really.
I think she's pretty.
I don't think so. And then she is champagne bottled. She goes like this. She is very champagne bottled. I'm not knocking her physique, okay? What I am going to talk about is the inconsistencies already with her character, where she comes out and says that her dad is a former rocker who took her to venues where she might have been sexually assaulted. That is the implication that she's given. So she had to learn how to fight. But she does rap music. And she's not very good.
No.
Also, she gets in the ring, and she has no clue what the fuck she's doing.
She's not the best wrestler now.
None whatsoever. They gave her a jumping spin kick that when she picked the girl up, she realized that she does not know how to do this move ambidextrous, and she had to stand in front of the girl, walk in front of the girl, change position to get into the spot where she could do the maneuver with the leg that she knows how to throw that kick with to throw that kick.
And then she does a split to pin him.
And then she did a jumping split to pin him and did her thing. And her whole thing of Nikita Lyons, you're going to hear me roar, I just died inside. She's awful.
She beat the nobody in 4 minutes.
And she could have... that's the thing. So, 4-minute match for the debuting Nikita Lyons. At least, you know what? At least she won. At least she won her debut. They didn't... Are the children down there?
No.
Okay, at least they didn't fuck that up. Followed by the fact of Dante Chin loses in 2 minutes. I don't understand what's happening. But at least she won. At least she won. Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter defeated Ivy Neely, I can't remember, basically the Viking chick from Diamond Mine, and Tatum Paxley. I have no clue who Tatum Paxley is. No one else does. Why she became Ivy's partner for Diamond Mine, I don't know, except for the fact that for some reason
they needed enough people.
They have people.
They needed enough people for the Dusty Cup. That's why Lashley got to lose to got to lose.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray destroyed Amari Miller and Lash Legend.
Well,
By the way, Lash Legend is terrible. She's the former WNBA chick whose match was so bad that they took a 7.5-minute match and cut it down in 2 minutes and 30 seconds because it was so awful. And you know what? In 2 minutes and 42 seconds, she did not improve.
And then you had the match of WWE of the week.
Dolph Ziggler and Tommaso Ciampa.
The match of the week for all of WWE.
Oh, by the way, after Tatum lost, Ivy just beat her up and stretched her. And Roddy came down and gave her a pat on the back and said, all right, let's go. Again, I would have liked this, except for Dolph Ziggler cut 2 promos on this show, I believe. I still couldn't understand what the hell he was saying. He spoke with passion and conviction because he's a 20-year veteran of this company, so he knows how to cut a promo. But everything he said made no sense. Mm-hmm. Again, also he's getting cheered like a babyface, but he's still acting like a heel because he has to be a heel on this show because he's a heel on the other show.
And
he's doing heelish shit.
He won in a heelish way.
He won in a heelish way because Bobby Roode showed up.
So now we got Bobby. So we've got...
See all of my earlier comments about this of why is Dolph Ziggler beating Tommaso Ciampa when Dolph Ziggler literally cannot beat Dominic Mysterio.
Was the match of the week for WWE. Oh, and there was a Imperium...
and Joseph?
There was an Imperium promo too.
I just have to ask one question.
Imperio versus the Diamond Mine.
No. I just want to have one... I want you to make a statement. I want you to say, Michael, you were right. You've already had to say it 4 times tonight.
I don't know why you're right this time. Michael, apparently you're right.
Why am I right? Because what did I say would happen every time Walter walks out?
Oh, yeah.
The entire crowd. This is the thing, though, okay? This is not St. Louis, Missouri. This is not Hershey, Pennsylvania. This is not... Saskatchewan, okay? This is literally their home base crowd that is, I am fairly convinced, other people in the buildings, family members, who should be coached at the show, which we saw they had to reshoot when they chanted Jeff Hardy's name at Karrion Kross when he lost to him. Every time Walter walks out, the entire crowd screams, walks out. Walter.
Gunther walks out.
No. Bad. No.
So is Uso now part of the Diamond Mine?
Oh God. Okay. So I can't say this man's name, Soa Sakaya or whatever his name is.
I think that's actually how
Did
you
I nail it? Okay. All right. Good deal. Hold on a second. Yeah, I wasn't gonna buy that anyway. Okay. So, one, this guy showed up and did nothing. He then got put in a program with Boa where he got his face melted off with some really bad CGI and...
no, it wasn't CGI. It was just plastic.
It was a flash paper. He got flash papered off, okay? This is terrible. Now, this kid, who is one of the Usos' cousins, brother cousins, whatever he is, I don't know. But...
They're family.
He comes out last week and tells Walter that he's going to make him his bitch. and then proceeds to do nothing and leave the ring, okay? This week, he comes out and beats up all of Imperium, including Walter. Who the fuck is Soa Sakai? Who?
He
literally has.
I will tell you who Suda Sakai is.
Is he the head of the table's cousin?
He's the head of the children's table.
He's
the head of the kids' table.
He has had what?
He's the head of the kids' table. The kids' table.
4 matches in NXT? At best, he's had 4 matches because he had 2 with Boa. I think he had 1 with, like...
Nobody.
He had 1 with the other Islander, Zion Quinn, who has not been seen or heard from in 2 months. Oh, yeah, right. Since he... remember he lost to the Drug Cartel, and then he fought somebody else, and then we've never seen... He fought Chase U, I think. And then he had 1 more match against somebody else. And now he's waylaying Walter and all of Imperium?
Where's Harland? There's a lot of people
missing. Harland, no. Harland is there. But you remember, John Wayne Gacy, who stole Ian Bear's gimmick, by the way, as the evil motivational speaker. By the way, Ian, if you're watching or if you get a chance to see this at some point, I actually work with your working brother at the Yard now. It was interesting. We started talking about wrestling, and I was like, oh yeah, I was like one of the guys, Ian Bear, and he's like, Ian's my trainer. And I was like, holy shit, small world. So, Mr. Teddy Bear, I'll give a shout out to you real quick, bud. Great name, by the way, for Ian's little brother, Teddy Bear. Love it. He was on this show somewhere in here, I believe, because they're still trying to corrupt the soul of Draco Malfoy. And they confronted him, the big jacked up
Von Wagner?
No. Von Wagner also cut a promo on this show with Diamond Mine. Or, sorry, what's his name? The little short fucker that, with the pompadour hair.
Oh.
The guy with the shoe. I can't remember his name. Stone. Eli Stone. No, that was a TV show. Whatever his name is. Robert Stone. So, thank you. Thank you for fucking helping me.
I love that. Yeah, that was fun to watch.
Yeah, so Robert Stone is apparently the manager for Von Wagner because he has had a lot of success in being people's managers in this, and they are trying to get over the catchphrase of, it's Von Wagner's world, and Von Wagner goes, you're just living in it, which is terrible. Anyway, back to the evil motivational speaker who is trying to corrupt the soul of Draco Malfoy. They had a backstage promo which then led to a pre-tape of them in the NXT workout gym where the guy was doing some presses and stuff, and then he runs up and talks to him, and then the other guy gets mad and he shoves the motivational speaker, and Harlan steps up and he's like, no. So the ex-military jacked up guy who couldn't win his first match, who hasn't done anything, and is also somehow seemingly being put in a program with your motivational speaker in Harlan, who Harlan has done nothing except beat Brian Kendrick up so bad that he had to quit the company and then go be fired by AEW before he ever had a first match because he said the Holocaust wasn't real and that he believed that the Illuminati were lizard people. Did I cover everything for you?
So SmackDown.
SmackDown sucked. There was nothing on it. Facebook. Don't want to see Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. I don't give a fuck about Madcap Moss. I hate Sonya Deville. I hate that she is going to have a match with Ronda Rousey. Contract signings, am I right? 1,000% right, because this is the only thing that happened on this show that mattered is Brock Lesnar killed 45 people, and for some reason, Brock Lesnar, who won... Now, this is it. I will say this. The contract signing made sense. But it didn't, and I'll tell you why. It made sense to have a contract signing for the fact that Brock Lesnar won the Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar has chosen Roman Reigns as his opponent. The Royal Rumble gives you the ability to challenge the champion of your choosing at WrestleMania for the main event, right?
He could wrestle himself.
I'm not putting it past him to try and book that if Brock was a heel, okay? But this is when a contract signing actually did make sense, because he has merely said this is what he's going to do. Having a contract to finalize the fact that he's going to do it made some sense. But it had to be the same average contract signing that Mr. Ken Owens has made fun of every time there's one a fight has to break out. Because they had to do the old tried and true contract signings. Now, it would have fallen flat on their ass if they just came out and signed it, shook hands, and walked out, because that's not going to be good enough, so they had to have a fight. But if they're also going to have a fight, Roman essentially said that I control everything on this brand, including the security, and then the security tried to beat up Brock, and then that didn't work, so Brock killed everybody except for Roman, the Usos, and Paul Heyman, and they just stood around and watched Brock beat everybody up. This show sucked. And the sad thing is this is the more tolerable show to watch compared to this show, because at least on this show, it's a bad wrestling show. This is a bad television show. And this is becoming a bad dollar store novel that you pick up on your way through the airport, okay? This was bullshit.
Sasha Banks wrestled?
For what fucking purpose? Also, look at this. Aaliyah defeated Shayna Baszler in a dark match. Okay, so Aaliyah, who stole Natty's world title for fastest match win, defeats Shayna Baszler, your ass kicker, and Ronda Rousey's best buddy. Guess that didn't work out for you, Shayna.
I haven't seen shots.
Grow your fucking eyebrows back. Big E and Kofi Kingston, who were... Big E was your world champion a month ago, and now he is in the first match curtain jerker with Kofi, defeating Angel and Humberto Kiss Cam people, who, by the way, main evented last week's SmackDown and won it. So, El Kisserino, or whatever the hell they're called, they had a winning streak of 1. Snapped by the same people I think they beat. Xia Li, who has taken over Aaliyah's role against Natty, beat her in 4 minutes. At least she won. At least Chung Li won. Sasha Banks defeated Shotzi. Shotzi, thanks for playing. Drew McIntyre defeated Madcap Moss. Is this not over? This is going to go to WrestleMania. We're going to have a triple threat featuring Madcap, featuring Drew, and featuring Baron Corbin.
Because Baron Corbin threw Madcap into the den.
And then we had a dark match. Who cares? Now, this is what I wanted to get to real quick, and I know we're really long, and I know you're desperate to talk about AEW, and honestly, I'm going to give you the stick for AEW because I didn't see enough of it, and really, there is nothing that I can say about the MJF promo that, one, you're not going to say, but also could be said at this point that hasn't already been said because it's all fucking true. Stay tuned in just a minute for AEW, alright? I started watching some yesteryear program for the E, right? And 10 years ago or more, so contract signings in the Ringers. Thank you, Sean. Yes. This is the thing. It was the time when Bret Hart had come back, and he was going to fight Mr. McMahon and stuff like that. And then you had Stone Cold come out for the referee in this other match, and Cena was fighting Batista right before Batista left, and all this other stuff, right?
Okay.
I watched a show from 6 weeks out, which is what we are, right?
Yeah.
Roughly 6 weeks, okay? Almost every fucking match for WrestleMania was booked and had a story. It had a story that had been going on for a little while, regardless of some of the bad television that they had at the time, especially the Divas and other things, right? I knew this is still a one-day event. If they had 10 matches, I knew 8 of the 10. And by the end of that show, I knew 9 of the 10, and the following week, all of the match cards for WrestleMania had been booked in, right? I knew what everything was going to be, what their storylines were, where they were going. At least a month out. Okay. Why are we booking WrestleMania a week before it shows up? Also, we've gone through a lot of names on all... They got their own show, okay?
Stand and deliver.
We've got a lot of names on the show that we talked about. I know 3 matches. Roman and Brock, Bianca and Becky, Ronda and Charlotte. I almost said Sasha. That's it. I didn't even know who the Intercontinental Champion was. I didn't know that Sami Zayn had gotten it back.
It happened on a SmackDown 3 weeks ago.
Didn't even notice. I thought Shinsuke was still the champion. Thank you for being out of commission for 4 months to come back to lose your belt, by the way. Forgot it had happened. I barely remember he's the U.S. champion.
He's still the champion?
Yeah, he's still the U.S. champion.
Okay.
I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care. Buried. This. Everybody else that we talked about. Are we going to keep delaying the Viking Raiders and Usos to WrestleMania?
I think that's next week now.
It's supposed to be because they said they canceled it at Saudi for a SmackDown show. Thanks, Saudi. Hope you enjoyed that. Well, you know,
so
60, a ton of people in the Saudi crowd. The Saudis were chanting Raid.
Right. Question.
No, wait, hold on.
Okay,
I'm getting.
I
apologize. I apologize. I'm running along in this.
No, that's fine.
My point is, not only do I not know what WrestleMania is supposed to look like, and we're 5 weeks out of it, okay? There's no one on either one of these cards that I want to see at WrestleMania. WrestleMania is being entirely booked around Roman and Brock, and then Ronda and Charlotte. Becky and Bianca are pretty much an afterthought at this point. Mm-hmm. Also, I will reverse ask you a question for this. Is there anybody that you give a shit about seeing at WrestleMania that's in the middle of something or has any active storyline or anything interesting that we haven't seen on either one of these shows for months now that have actually done anything interesting enough to warrant carrying that storyline into WrestleMania? Keep in mind, WrestleMania is 2 nights.
For whatever reason.
That is going to be a minimum of 16 matches. 4.5 hour show. I guarantee you there will be 8 to 10 matches on each card. I'm saying at least 16 at a minimum. Mm-hmm. We know 3. No one else interests me at all to see them because nobody is in any spot whatsoever to wrestle another person. No one is. Seth and KO, Big E, and is there any name that we went over for people who are involved in this right now that you could say, that's a WrestleMania match I want to see?
Okay, so before I answer that question, let me ask my question. You said you watched a show from 6 or 7 years ago.
It was about 10 years ago or so. I knew every match.
Okay, 10 years ago. How many of the people in that 10-year ago match were part-timers, celebrities, or just came backers?
So Brett and McMahon.
Okay, that's a celebrity match, I give you.
Yeah, that one was there. And then, let me think. Who else was there? I know I said all the matches. I apologize. I wasn't prepared to actually give the card down at that point.
No, that's fine.
But
so
yeah, they had celebrities because I want to say they did the Maria Menounos match or something like that was there. But this they had Sheamus and Hunter. They had John and Batista. They had Edge and Jericho.
It was not the focus.
Okay.
Right? Would you agree? It wasn't. The celebrities were, hey, this is going to be a cool, fun match, not a focus match.
Yes, it was not the focus.
Okay, so you asked me, who do I care about? None of them. But here's the matches that are rumored. We'll go through the rumored matches, okay? We've got the 3 matches that we already know.
3.
That we already know.
5 weeks out.
So now we have the Sammy versus Johnny match, celebrity match.
Okay, I'll give you a celebrity match except for a celebrity match.
Okay, so we have this celebrity match. We have this celebrity match. Bad Bunny's supposed to come back and do another match with, I can't remember who, but whoever cost him the Royal Rumble.
Brock fucking Lesnar?
No, the other guy. He got over that got pissed off that that Bad Bunny eliminated. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah, so we got a Bad Bunny match. We've got a possible Cody match. We've got an Edge match. Supposedly there's going to be a Lita and the rumor I read was Lita and Trish versus Alexa.
Oh yeah, sorry, Trish is coming back apparently.
Versus Lexa and the other blonde.
Because those styles are going to go
great. The other blonde.
Liv Morgan. Why would Liv Morgan team with Alexa?
To battle the legends. Don't ask why.
And then follow that. Okay.
So now three quarters of your WrestleMania.
Legend.
3/4 of your WrestleMania is not even the real roster.
Yeah.
I mean, one could even say that Brock's not the real wrestler. Now, granted, Brock has done more wrestling in the last 2 years than he's done in the last 20.
What about Rousey? We can't even say Rousey's there. She's had her first single match since 2018 is coming up this week.
And supposedly, they're holding on to bring Bayley back.
Why?
For something.
Bailey was dead in the water and lost to Bianca.
Yeah, well, it's hopefully enough time has gone by that we don't remember Ding Dong, and we can go back to face Bailey that was actually popular.
I mean, I thought she was fine as a heel because she at least went against the archetype.
You only like her because she yelled at Michael Cole.
Yes, and that was hilarious because everyone should yell at Michael Cole. Much like Kanye asking people to pick on Pete Davidson on Twitter, everyone out there should always yell very offensive things at Michael Cole.
So the point of it all is, any damn thing in WrestleMania that interests me.
There you go.
So now, are they going to unify the titles and make one company again?
They're not going to be one company. They'll just have one champion because that's the word that's been going around tonight, rumor. SmackDown, Fox is not like, what are you doing? And they're like, don't worry, we got this. They're still going to have a brand split. They're still going to be Raw and SmackDown. But they're just going to try and have one champion
who will appear
he'll appear on both brands.
Dumb as fuck.
Why not? Why? I hate the brand split.
I'm saying it should be just one show. It should just be one show. You have whittled down your have whittled down your talent pool so much.
But they haven't.
They have 20 wrestlers on SmackDown and they wrestle each other the same week.
That's my point. They have more than enough contracted talent at this point that they can fill 3 shows with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 hours content a week?
They don't have enough wrestlers for 8 hours.
Yes, they do. They have plenty enough wrestlers. What they don't have is the time, which is sad to say. In a 3-hour show, we have no interesting wrestlers or people involved because we have to have backstage, more so on this show than anything else. We have to have so much backstage bullshit promo stuff that lasts for anywhere between 12 to 17 fucking minutes of the show.
The only thing
no one has a chance to get over because nobody gets in the fucking ring.
The only thing they've done. Well, that's the sad part. The only thing they've done right in the 7 hours of wrestling here is not put Roman Reigns in the ring.
Yes,
and make him.
Roman is an attraction. Roman is special. He's your champion. It makes sense. Again, I didn't even know he was the champion, which makes me believe that they're going to make Johnny Knoxville the Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania. I don't even know who the tag titles are right now. I know the Usos have one. Who has the other ones?
Who has the Raw ones?
Alpha Academy?
Yeah, Alpha Academy has the Raw ones.
Okay, so Alpha Academy, they're so fucking annoying that I don't even remember them having the titles. That's how unimportant it is. Because the titles don't ever matter.
That's why Kevin...
And I know I sound like an old bitter wrestling bastard.
That's why Kevin and Seth want the tag titles.
Why? Because they can't get the world title? It's dumb.
Alright, we're going to move on to AEW. We're going to move on to AEW because we could just complain for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, no. The East sucks. Nothing makes sense. WrestleMania is 5 weeks away, and there's not a single thing on that card that matters to care about. No one is in a good position to matter, and the entire card is being built around Brock Lesnar. So, the entire card is not being built around a wrestling match. The entire card is being built around, can we guess who Vince feels, as you said last week, who's Vince feeling tonight? Who did Fox tell Vince that he should be feeling up tonight?
I will scour the internet and put together what is believed by most of the smarks to be the WrestleMania card.
Well, we just went over it.
Right, but we're gonna like to look at it.
Okay, moving on.
Who knows what happens in the next week? All right, so we're actually gonna start with House of Black.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to put something that you love.
I love this. This was great. I thought the slap spot was stupid as shit.
Slap spot.
In the match, Brody King, Pac runs at Brody. Brody pops him up and he lands on top of Penta's shoulders. And Brody slaps him across the chest, which causes Pac to flip backwards. And he basically like...
Oh, you thought that was stupid?
I thought that was stupid as fucking spot.
I thought that was amazing looking.
It looked cool, but as I said on the page, I quote JR, everybody's wondering, what the hell was that about? Why? Because Pac intentionally spiked his own partner from being hit because he did a full revolution around driving his head into the mat. It made no sense, and it looked so... And on top of that, he had to pop him, set him on the shoulders, position, step back, hit him, flip. It looked slow, it looked bad, and it looked stupid because it looked so fake. It was so fake looking. Other than that, everything in the match was awesome.
I didn't like the teasing Buddy Matthews as not being part of the House of Black. It was pretty obvious he was part of the House of Black. It was... But...
I wish he wouldn't have. I wish he wouldn't have rejoined him. My hope is that... I mean, I know this...
But he did look like, I'm not sure I want to be here, I kind of have to be.
I hope it's a swerve. And I know we love our swerves, thanks Russo, but... I hope it's a swerve where they... I hope that he said what was it, Impact or whatever it was, he was there for a cup of coffee. I hope that he does that thing where he's like, well, I've been a follower before, I'm not really feeling that right now, I hope that he's like, well, if I don't go to Malachi Black right now, he's just going to hound the shit out of me. So I'm going to go do Malachi Black stuff for a minute, get in good, make him think that the disciple has returned, and then I'm going to fuck him.
Speaking of swerve...
I would be okay with that as a swerve, because you know what that is? It's the babyface outsmarting the heel. I would have loved that. I don't want him, however, to oust Alistair from Brody and be the new king of the House of Black. I don't want that. I just want him to outsmart Malachi.
Now, speaking of swerve, apparently Isaiah Swerve is in AEW now.
Good for him! Happy. Love you, Swerve.
All right,
because AEW comes to Defy.
We're gonna skip this we'll talk about that at the end.
Oh Lord.
Bucks got outbucked. We knew that was happening.
Yeah, this is a pretty good match, which is too many fucking people in the ring to figure out what was going on.
Right, but we all knew that the Red Dragon was going to win this, and we all know that Bucks are going to win the last spot, and it's going to be...
Well, it has to be.
It has to be.
Unfortunately, that does mean that, let's see, 1, 2, 3,
it's going to
4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Because it was, what, 10 teams? Okay. That means that 8 out of the 10 teams got fucked for storyline.
Right. But they all had some good spots. They all had
good spots. And I will comma that to go back and say the fact of, at least there was a consistent storyline being told, and some random jack-off team, like, Blade and Butcher won, which would have made no sense, because that would have been WWE booking right there.
Oh, absolutely.
But I appreciate that the storyline took precedence over stupidity, but I am a little bit sad at the fact that this basically means that no tag team at all has a shot of doing anything spectacular against these two teams, because these two teams have got to do their thing first.
Well,
so that basically, I mean, looking from the outside looking in, from a wrestling super fan, smart, whatever the fuck you want to say at this point, from a booking standpoint, you have 8 teams that can't do anything because 2 other teams have to have their storyline.
Right.
Which basically also means there's 3 teams, because there's the tag champions too, right?
Right.
So 3 teams that will be doing things. Everybody else can't do anything to those 2 teams.
I disagree, and here's why.
Okay.
Because I wish that my sheet went down to and I wish my sheet and my memory. So it came down to 3 teams at the end. Was the Jackson? Well, it came down to 1 member of each team, which I thought was really good.
Yeah.
So it came down to Hungy. I love me some John Silver. I know you don't see it,
but I hate John Silver.
I love John Silver. So it came down to John Silver, one of the Jacksons, and Kyle O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
So those were the last 3 people in the ring. And then, and before Kyle O'Reilly, it was
Dax, wasn't it?
It was Chuck Taylor.
Chuck Taylor.
So it was a best friend, a Dark Order, a Buck, and a Red Dragon. So the 4 of them, they kind of did the thing. And then the Bucks and the Red Dragon teamed up. So at the end of the day, it's going to be, because we know that Bucks will get the 3rd spot in the match. So it's going to be the Red Dragon. It's going to be Red Dragon, the Bucks, and Jurassic Express for the three-way match. That's going to end up, in my opinion, with Red Dragon. Or, I'm sorry, with the. Honestly, I think it's going to be Jurassic Express keeping the belts. And these two teams are going to continue their feud over here, and we'll bring a different tag team in to actually fight for the tag titles.
Well, that would be fine. That would be fine.
So it's not that they don't have a chance. It's just we're working on your next spot. Daniel Bryan absolutely made him shine. Daniel Garcia. I mean, I'm not a huge Daniel Garcia fan, but he definitely made him shine. And Danhausen, very, very evil, very, very sneaky. He helped. He helped OC win the spot into the.
I loved his AEW thing. What is Danhausen doing here? I don't know. We're gonna talk about that.
Making money, lots and lots of money.
Like Danhausen isn't to make lots of money. Like he had good friends with Orange Cassidy, maybe good friends with Chris Jericho. Love it.
All right, so
he was sitting on a forklift of all things. Like, what are you doing, dude? He's like, yes, you will cheer for Danhausen, or you'll be cursed.
How did I get here? Well, they called me.
Yes, it's so bad. It's funny because it's like I said, I love the fact that everything he does is rooted in logic of.
Yeah.
It makes complete real world sense, but he turns the dial up to 11 so well on how he does it because, well, what are you in AEW? I want to make money. Like, okay, well, how did you get a job? Tony Khan called me.
I was popular. Now I am super popular.
Love it.
You will cheer me. They cheered me. I am here.
Yes, I love Vampire Pee Wee Herman. He's great.
All right, so MJF, did you watch the promo?
I have seen.
It was 8 minutes long.
Then I have seen all of it.
Okay, so it was only 8 minutes long. It shows up. He comes to the ring. Hey, I know you like to boo me. Get it out of your system. And then he talks about the story. Calls himself an ADHD Jew boy. Which I was like, wow, there we go. This was one of the most brilliant things in the world, in my opinion. And it's not just because I'm all about the MJF thing. MJF has become my favorite wrestler. Because he's the only wrestler. He should have been a wrestler in the 50s and 60s because he's the only one that knows how to hold kayfabe. There was videos all last week about him at that convention where he's insulting the little girl. He's insulting the person in the wheelchair.
Yes, I like the little girl versus MJF video that came out.
What kind of asshole are you, Dad? You bring your daughter to come see me. We want you to. I got a couple more things. He's like, oh, Jesus Christ! Just give it to me.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm doing this for the money. And he flips off the little girl. Little girl, can I flip him over back? Can I flip him back? Of course you can flip him off. Did you get the damn picture? So he comes out. He's the.
You know what's funny about that? You know, you remember 30 years ago, somebody would have tried to stab him for that.
Oh yeah.
Now everybody knows it's a show, so they're just playing along to his character. But
he doesn't break his character much.
No, but
and his parents are involved.
But is the sad thing? I mean, I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate on something like this.
Oh wow,
okay?
this is a swap.
Oh no, I'm not knocking MJF. I love MJF, but isn't his character now that he's the guy who doesn't break character?
Yes.
Isn't that what Punk did?
Yes, and that's why the two work well.
Ah, there we go.
That's why the two work so well together.
That's what I was getting to.
So he puts his heart out. It was a little consistent. And I looked at that. I go, this is a little long. This is getting a little long. Wrap it up, wrap it up, bud. And then he starts pouring out they threw the quarters at me, and you quit on me, and then you show up with a picture of Daniel Bryan. I'm like, well, damn, this was the joke. One of your favorite Batman movies, the Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. This was the Joker going, I created you, you created me. This was the origin, the villain origin story. It was like, you created me. Yeah. I am this way because of you. And then at the end of it, the crowd was swerving over. The crowd was feeling it. Tony Schiavone ruined it, in my opinion, when he said, I hate this bastard, but man, I kind of feel for him right now. And I understand that it's supposed to make it that.
Yeah.
But
Tony Schiavone is the king of what's the word I'm looking for? Over-exaggerating
the obvious?
Statement. Yes, over-exaggerating the obvious. Love you, Tony. So many Tonys in wrestling.
This,
Tony,
however...
Tony Atlas, Tony Schiavone.
This, however,
Tony
would
D'Angelo.
not have worked without CM Punk's involvement at the end.
His sweatshirt? Without CM Punk's sweatshirt?
That said Free Ferris and Japanese. Yeah. No, when MJ, he came out, no music. It wasn't like, here I come. He came out, no music, no mic, gets in the ring, and if you watch his body language, his fist is cocked the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, is it real? Is it real? And MJF just walks off with his big-ass crocodile tear in his cheek. And he's like, yeah. And he walks off. And now, the crowd is like... Oh.
So I want to play devil's advocate again on this one right now, okay?
Okay.
I really like when people speak with passion and conviction about things, okay? But... again, does this not go back to the same problem that we have talked about for several years now, especially on the other program, of heels having good points?
But
MJF was a snarky, hateful, bitter heel who just revealed his kryptonite, essentially, to CM Punk of, you, like a jaded lover.
Right.
You know, you jilted me. You spurred my affections as a fan when you left years ago. And that made me be an asshole to everyone in my family because I didn't have any heroes to believe up to anymore.
Okay.
It's
now,
a very...
Now, the average wrestling fan, if you were to guess a percentage, and I don't know this answer, there's no quantifying data that I know of, but if you were to guess, what do you think the average wrestler, what percentage of wrestling fans do you think are now rooting for MJF and think that CM Punk is the villain?
Well, you can tell by the crowd just based on the fact of depending on where they're at. CM Punk either comes out and gets... CM Punk is getting the John Cena reaction. He comes out, he either gets a massive explosion cheer, probably because people think they're going to get on TV, followed by CM Punk gets in the ring, and you hear this crowd go 50-50 now. It's no longer 100% CM Punk. It's 50-50 on Punk right now.
So,
but it's also 50-50 for MJF because
right.
people are cheering him because he's doing so good and being so believable, but he has to get in the ring and say heel shit to get the crowd to boo him again, which is becoming borderline problems that the other show has of people are so good at their job that people like them that they're not supposed to like.
But how many people... So take it. How many people do you think believe that was a from the heart promo?
100 people. 100% of people.
Do you believe it?
Do I believe...
Do you think...
I will say this. I believe that everything that MJF said, he believes. Do I believe that everything that he said is 100% true? Probably not. It's probably more like 80-20. You know?
So...
I think the crying at the end was fine, but seemed a little unnecessary.
Manufactured?
Like, you know, I spoke on it earlier about why we didn't get a lot of AEW content at the house this week, aside from a few match snippets and stuff, because we were getting caught up on the Daredevil. And it's like, you know, Vincent D'Onofrio's performance in that is amazing, right? Mm-hmm. Especially, you get to see the backstory with the Kingpin and all this other stuff that's going on with it, and the abuse of his father and all this stuff, and you really kind of have a sympathy for the guy, right? But as you watch the show, especially the last season with things he does, he has no problem murdering people, innocent people, burning buildings down. He has no problem having bystanders executed in front of their families. He has no problem killing children. He does not care, okay? Mm-hmm. I mean, I still know he's a traumatized child, but it's a wonderful performance from this actor. That's how I almost equate MJF at this point in a way of that. He's a wonderful performer. He has a great story, but he's still supposed to be the bad guy.
So,
I don't want to cheer the bad guy for being a bad guy.
So,
I don't want to cheer the bad guy because he's a good performer.
So my belief is this is how it plays out. CM Punk and him have... Actually, we're going to talk about how I think it feels out next.
Okay. We have slides.
So, AEW Revolution.
Hate this logo, by the way.
Coming to a theater near you, as you said. There are 4 theaters in our area.
The Regal Thornton Place, Screen X, and the IMAX, apparently. At Central Federal Way, we have the Cinelink Lincoln's
in Bellevue and Olympia.
Cinmark?
So you could watch
Lincoln
it
Square in Bellevue. And we also have in Westfield Capitol Olympia, the Century Olympia. I believe the closest one to us is probably going to be the one on Federal Way.
Right. I don't think we're going to be going to see this at the theater.
No, as I said, I remember when they have done this stuff for TNA in the past, when they had Bound for Glory, it was me and like 2 other people, and we all felt awkward because
I think that they might
us.
They might get more people.
They probably will.
Would you rather pay $10 to go sit in a movie theater and watch this, or you want to sit $45?
I mean, I'm going to pay $10 to go watch it in a movie theater, if that is the case. But also, I do remember the TNA ones like having bad problems.
So, here are the matches. Jon Moxley versus Daniel Bryanson.
Okay. Because they have to bleed together before they can fuck.
Would you put it that way? All right.
Is that not what he said?
Basically.
Before we can date... Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. It should be, before we can have a relationship, we have to fuck. That's what Jon Moxley said. Because Jon Moxley needs to bleed with you in order to be in a relationship with you.
So I'm saying Mox wins.
Renee gets to do that, every now and then.
Mox wins.
Daniel Bryan. There's no way that Jon Moxley is going to hand him another loss.
And this will be happening
because he's lost twice now. Because both matches to Adam Page, right?
Right.
When the calendar reset.
Mm-hmm.
But Moxley just came back.
Well, he didn't lose. He lost. Yeah. So this will be happening during our show next.
I know we're talking about the points rankings that AEW uses in order to determine who the world champions and stuff with me, even though they don't matter, and clearly this isn't going to matter. So I'm trying to factor in a booking standpoint of Bryan has wins. I think since he come back from the reset, Mox has got wins. So there's you know what?
The rehab.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The reset from the rehab for the points reset. You know what? That might be Moxley might win. Moxley actually might win because of the points and because Bryan is trying to convert him to his line of thinking. Fuck, I don't know who wins this.
That's why I love AEW, because there's not a clear...
I really don't know who wins this. You know what? I will change... I feel like I'm going to regret this. I'm going to change and say Moxley's going to win it.
Okay. Jericho versus Eddie Kingston.
You know what? I'm going to go back and say Bryan will win it. I'm going to say Bryan's going to win it because that way Bryan will have earned Moxley's respect by beating him in another bloodbath match, and he can say they both bled together, Yeah, I'm going to say
I am the opposite. I'm like, you know what? You bled with me, now I'll listen to you. All right. I know you don't give a damn. I know you don't give a damn.
I know
you don't give a damn. But pick a winner.
Eddie Kingston.
I agree.
Because I hate Chris Jericho's character at this point.
Eddie. I agree. All right.
Love you, Chris. But
this will be happening while we're watching the show live.
Nice.
So.
Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Sting versus El Andrade Idolo, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy.
In the first ever Tornado Trios match. All 6 will be wrestling at the same time so that he doesn't get hurt.
So he can be isolated and still win the match. Sammy's a babyface now.
And the TNT champion, which I don't understand why he's not.
Yeah.
At the match.
Babyfaces win.
Okay.
Yeah, babyfaces win.
I will agree.
Because there's nothing interesting about Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy.
Unless Jeff shows up.
What day is this?
Next.
Jeff's non-compete's not up until March.
This is March 6th.
Then Jeff's non-compete will be up that day, I believe. So I don't know what time zones, how that's going to work out with it. Also, I wanted to comment that real quick and ask you a question.
Or he's going to walk off on them and then...
is he going to walk off through the crowd again?
And then him and Jeff show up the next week together.
And then Hardy will be babyface supreme again. How can you hold someone to a no-compete clause when you fired them?
I don't know.
We need to talk about this next week because I've looked more into the Jeff Hardy since he made that announcement for AEW.
Okay.
And there's the talk of the non-compete clause. I've really looked harder into the Jeff Hardy firing situation. Does Jeff not have a lawsuit for wrongful termination against the WWE because they fired him?
I don't think you can.
Because they're an independent contract? We need more information on this.
All right, so here's the ladder match.
Also, small tidbit of information of something we found out real quick. I apologize, but you're good with this. Aside from Ray, there's no one in the WWE that I can think of that works under a mask right now. And they just fired Jeff Hardy. There's no one. Somebody mentioned it. The guy at work mentioned that the Viking Raiders technically. There's nobody who works under face paint either, except for T-Bar, technically. You could say Finn because of the demon stuff, but can you think of anyone in the E that works under a mask or face paint right now?
I'll look that up for the next. We'll talk. Mask, face paint. Okay.
All right.
So, Face the Revolutionary ladder match. This is to determine. This is the Money in the Bank match.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, Wardlow, Orange Cassidy, Anthony Moen, Orange Cassidy, and one more person to be determined. And it has been announced that next week, Tony has another big announcement.
Of course he does, yeah.
So we know Anthony Bowen did not win that match. So you have big dude, big dude, big dude, little dude, little dude. Gonna guess this is gonna be a little dude.
It has to be. Somebody has to take bumps in this because these big dudes are gonna get hurt. I mean, probably gonna be Keith Lee because why would you have him lose?
Right. Well, this is
But this is a ladder match, so technically you're in an outside element.
This will be the next. The person that wins this match can compete for either the TBS belt or the. There's a chance this could be Miro since we haven't seen him at all.
Don't care about Miro.
I don't care what you don't care about.
Well, no, I'm saying Miro. Why? Why would Miro be in this match?
Because he wants his belt back.
Sometimes when I say I don't care, it's not that I just don't care. It's that how could anyone care?
Because Miro wants his belt back.
Miro is jaded by God because God forsaken him because he took his wife's fat pussy out of the house or something. I don't know.
And then they dropped that storyline altogether.
Yeah, and then they got rid of all that because, that fucking untalented woman. Wardlow. I want Keith Lee to win, but it gives MJF something to do with Wardlow after they wrap up.
So if Wardlow wins and he's like, now give me the title shot.
Yes.
That makes all the sense in the world.
And I could see MJF being like, hey,
because it's in his contract.
Hey, you work for me. It's your contract. I don't care that you won. You're going to sign that over to me.
He's already stated on air a couple of weeks ago, in your contract, it says that any title matches you gain, I can take from you.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. Wardlow will win this match. I'm sorry. I don't want to see Keith Lee lose his second match.
But it's these two are going to brawl and take themselves out of the match.
Which is what I'm saying, is this will set up something between these guys.
Because it'll be these two.
Yeah, these two to that, and then that will set him up with their storyline.
And this person will...
I don't remember if he's on the card or not, but you know who that person needs to be just to seal the deal? That needs to be Hook.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying Wardlow.
Right now, until I hear this answer, and we'll do a update on this match.
Yeah, we'll do an update on that.
I'm going to go with Wardlow also. All right.
Unless it's Okada.
Okay.
My answer to everything is just going to be Okada.
Okay, so now my prediction.
Uh-huh. Have to get to the rubber match. Has to be Punk.
No.
Have to get to the rubber match. It's going to be Punk.
He will feel bad, and he will take over and go, I've made all that shit up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And and it'll make, that's just old school. MJF will be like, I made all that shit up, and look at you, you weak. He wins. MJF all day long.
Punk. Because they want to get to the rubber match. If they're smart, they'll do this. They'll get to the rubber match, and then MJF will reveal all of the stuff.
You obviously haven't or cared about what Cornette said about this. I actually listened to this morning, what Cornette thinks. Cornette agrees with me.
That's fine. Cornette steals our show, too.
Right,
so.
I understand that. But I think that CM Punk feels bad and doesn't have his heart into the match. He's winning. This isn't what Cornette said either. This is my opinion. I'm winning. He's winning. He's beating him. He's whipping him. And he just looks down at MJF. Just like, and then he's like, and then MJF just, blah! And then laughs at him.
Oh, but I mean, I believe that could go either way, but
the cool thing is, if this was WWE, you know for a fact that's how it would go.
No, I don't want to say that.
All right. We already believe that this is going to be the Bucks.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Jurassic Express will retain.
And then that moves on.
Except for the fact of... Yeah.
Now, we will update this when we learn exactly who this is.
Yeah.
But we both believe. Cargill versus Tay Conte.
This I can say I do not care about. I hope Ty Conte wins. Jade Cargill is interesting to look at, but she's not very good.
I agree. I think the experiment's not working.
It's not. And the problem though is that I mean, politically speaking, are they going to get in trouble if they take it off of her and be like, well, there you go. Be like, the black girls spoke out about the black girls not getting a chance on the roster, and now as soon as the heat dies down, of course they take the belt off of her.
She should have whooped Bunny's ass.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Bunny got how many minutes out of her?
I think 7 or 8. 6:45.
Okay, 7 minutes. Now, I understand that
it did not make her look dominant.
AEW doesn't like doing tiny, short matches because the WWE... But
they did plenty of them.
But this...
See Brody Lee's debut lasted 2 minutes.
That should have been an ass whooping to
absolutely.
Bunny.
Yeah, that should have been that. But Bunny's also over because of the bloodbath match.
Yes.
So they're kind of running into that problem. Like I said, she's not bad. She's great to look at. I just don't mean that physically. I mean as a physical specimen, as an interesting character in the ring. She looks great. She feels great. But she's just not there yet. She still needs another year or more to really nail down the in-ring. She's just doing moves. And none of her moves really matter.
Or they need to make her more dominant.
Or they need to fix her and make her more dominant because she is an incredibly physical person.
She should be having Wardlow matches.
Yeah.
Done.
Run through them like a buzzsaw, yeah.
All right.
Plus, she's got legit credentials, so yeah.
And then...
I think it's time to take it off Britt. I'm going to say Thunder Rosa, but my answer to whoever's going to win is always Thunder Rosa. Because I love Thunder Rosa. And I love Britt Baker, don't get me wrong on that side either, but I think it's time to take the belt off Britt. Britt's had it for whatever year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think her and... So, here's the thing. I agree. I believe Thunder Rosa should be the winner.
Uh-huh.
I also believe... So, I'm not going to... So, okay. Who do you think's going to win this match?
What the fuck?
No. Okay, so here's the thing. If Baker wins, I feel like Cole will win. And they can be the husband and wife tag team champions that did not work in WWE.
Well, the answer to this is Adam Page is going to win.
So
Adam Cole will not win this match because I have a feeling they're setting up for the fact of the dissension in the ranks between them is going to be Adam.
I think Baker's going to win.
You said you were going to be left in charge and you were going to handle it. You couldn't get us a tag team belt. You couldn't get us a world championship belt. You couldn't get us this or that. You know, you're not doing it right.
I believe Page is going to win also.
And why take the belt off Hangman Page? At this point, why?
Well, yeah, because every AEW champion has held the belt for at least 6 to 7 months.
Well, the problem with that is that they're still introducing us to Adam Page.
Right.
He's over with the AEW crowd, but he's not over with the wrestling crowd, in my opinion, for the most part. Because he's not being talked about as much as MJF and stuff is, which is sad because he should be, because he's that damn good, okay? But
Roll Tide.
Adam Page will retain this because they still have to keep Page looking good.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say Baker and Page. I think both champions retain.
Which is funny because in the reverse of the match with Jade Cargill we just talked about, as I said, the experiment of introducing is not working. And that's largely because she just doesn't have what he's got of the experience of knowing when to do shit. He knows when to do shit. Especially cowboy shit.
I think that the biggest problem Adam Page has to overcome is that whole alcoholic year.
No, he has to overcome all of this because he had the alcohol storyline,
right? Which was
he disappeared storyline, but because his wife was having their first child, and they got whatever it was, and then he has to deal with the fact that he never got to outshine Kenny, except for when he finally beat him for the title. He never got to have his one-offs with the Bucks or anything like that. He also didn't have a challenger.
Yeah.
And he basically got his ass handed to him verbally by Dan Lambert for 3 weeks leading into the Murder Hawk match. So he didn't
exactly look the strongest in.
Well, he looked resilient.
Yes.
And that's the difference. Does he need to go out there and kick the crap out of people?
No.
Or does he need to prove that he can take a beating and still come out on top? And that's what he's been doing in these matches.
AKA
with
Daniel Bryan.
He needed a longer, sustainable program with Daniel Bryan for like best in the world, essentially, to show that off. And that would have made this championship be the best in the world. This guy can do it because he's so fucking good, despite the fact of all of the bullshit he's been dealing with and the dad bod that he's rocking at this point. He's still one of the best in-ring performers.
This will be a 4.5 star match.
This is going to be a 5 fucking star match, in my opinion, as long as they don't fuck it up with shenanigans. And as long as...
There'll be shenanigans.
I'm sorry.
There'll be shenanigans.
I love you, Adam Cole. I love you. But as long as they don't let him do stupid shit, this will be a great match.
There will be shenanigans.
There can't be. There should be no shenanigans in this match.
I agree.
None at all. This should be Adam Page has a 5-star fucking match with Adam Cole, and Page. This should be very simple as Adam Cole makes a mistake, Page catches him.
Okay, I'm sorry. When you say shenanigans, you mean a screwy finish.
I don't want stupid screwy finish. I don't want people getting involved.
There's going to be people involved.
I don't care if they go outside and do a little bit of crowd brawl. I don't care. But I don't want to see people come down. I don't want to see anybody, even if Omega's ready to come back, I don't want to see Omega back yet.
That's going to be a good question. Even if he's not ready, it's just a tease. I was going to say, I'm willing to bet Omega shows up.
This is what I want. He wins. He's in the ring fucked up. He's in the ring fucked up, walking up the ramp, and then Kenny walks out onto the stage. And the show goes off the air with Kenny Omega standing on the stage looking at both of these guys like, well, there's the bones to pick clean, essentially. Or, hey, which guy am I going to back? Am I going to attack Page because Adam Cole's our buddy? Or am I going to go after Cole because he didn't get the job done for Adam Page and bring the championship home? Or am I going to go after Page because he just beat my buddy Adam Cole? There's so much story to go with this that makes absolute sense. But I don't want to see a masked fucking wrestler run into the ring in a hoodie and stuff like that and beat up Adam Page, and then Adam Page kick out from a, Panama Sunrise, and then the masked wrestler run back into the ring and beat up Adam Page, and then Page has some kind of screwy stuff, but Page ends up persevering, and then the masked wrestler runs back out and acts like he's going to beat up Adam Page, and then he decides to beat up Adam Cole instead, and then reveals it's Kenny Omega. I don't want any of that shit to happen. Have a real fucking match and let these guys show why these two guys are the number one wrestlers in your number one company that is becoming one of the number one wrestling company in America right now.
So I predict that at some point in time, the Bucks come down to Buck, Red Dragon chases them off, and then the match resumes.
Why?
I don't think it should happen.
No.
I don't want it to happen.
But
the EVPs that are in control can make that happen.
That's true.
I also think that... So, would you be okay with...
Uh-huh.
Like, I love your scenario at the end. I
Yeah.
love how you just... The end of your match happens. But I foresee if that happens, Kenny Omega comes down and he kicks both of them upside the head.
Why? Why? Because the reason I don't like that, and I've always had a problem with those styles of matches of the returning guy getting involved. Now, people can say...
No, I love him saying...
It's a double-edged sword of why did he come out if he wasn't going to get involved? But then you go into why did he end up beating up both of them? Because that just took the spotlight off of this match and put it all back on Omega. That shit Hulk Hogan does. Okay?
Either way, either way.
Either way, but foreshadowing.
Right.
Overshadowing. Two different things.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
If he beats both of them up, that's overshadowing. If he comes out after a hell of a match and holy shit, what is Kenny Omega thinking right now? If he just walks out...
And then turns around and walks away.
Turns around and walks away? Okay. Ooh, what is Kenny thinking about? I can't wait to see what happens on Dynamite.
I like that. Overshadow versus foreshadow. Because back in the WCW days, the pay-per-views always ended with what used to be foreshadowing, and then it became 100% overshadow. Yeah. And you would actually get pissed off at a WCW pay-per-view if somebody didn't just show up at the end that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't need to do that. They have plenty enough to do this right now. And I mean, the only thing I don't hope happens is that the Cody Rhodes thing is a swerve, and then all of a sudden Cody Rhodes gets involved in this.
But you said it wasn't a swerve.
I don't think it is, because I don't think... Again, AEW is not publicly traded, so they don't have stockholders to answer to if they false book some bullshit, okay?
Kevin's starting to think it's...
They have made a press release that I could see TBS... and I don't know. My point is that I don't want to see Cody back in an AEW ring. That's really what it comes down to.
For at least 3 months.
And you know what? I don't want to see him back in a WWE ring. And I definitely don't want to see him involved in a world title match.
Maybe he'll show up at Impact when Ring of Honor comes back.
We'll be able to see his fucking tattoo coming around the corner before he does.
All right.
Oh my god, this is a long show. I'm sorry. I don't have any fucking final thoughts. WrestleMania looks like it's going to be shit. The next 5 weeks of television for Raw looks like it's going to be shit, including across the board of SmackDown and NXT looks awful. Stand and Deliver has no matches as far as I know of right now, so that looks like shit.
It's Braun Breaker versus To Be Determined.
There you go.
Which looks like it's going to be Dolph Ziggler.
So there's 0 matches
and the winner
for
of the Dusty
Stand and
Cup.
Deliver. Oh, okay.
The winner of the female Dusty Cup.
Okay, so there's 0 matches booked for your WrestleMania weekend brand show. There's 3 matches booked for WrestleMania, which looks like crap. And then you have the other guys, as we have hammered home so much time, who are kicking your ass with the talent that you just fired, who are putting on a pretty fucking good-looking card right now, that we spent an hour plus talking about what might happen, while we spent an hour plus talking about why isn't this happening.
Yes. Long-form storytelling is killing it in AEW. And long-form storytelling can be 4 to 5 weeks.
Well, I hate to say that I feel like we're a bit of a fickle fan in the sense of we want long-form storyline. The problem is that the storylines are not good, and I know that's almost like when people say like, "Oh, that movie could have been great, but the script was terrible." Be like, have you ever wrote a fucking script? Do you know what a script is? Do you know what a physical script looks like, a shooting script? A shooting script is not a little book that you read. A shooting script is literally like, camera, pan angle, tight angle, close up in, two shot in this, blah, 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 blah. That's what a script looks like, okay? So when people say, oh, the script could have been better, I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, okay? So with that, I know it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my ass when I say this, but long form needs to work because it's proven that it's worked. Because why do you think NCIS is still on the fucking air 30 years later, okay? Because long form storytelling, people with characters involved that you want to see matters, okay? The problem is the product that you're presenting is not good, because right now one of the longest form storylines that we have is Madcap Moss and Drew McIntyre. Who could care?
Okay, you're right.
And the sad thing is they used wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
They jumped Drew in the back. They hurt his neck, so that way Drew could go out with a legitimate injury and have his neck inspected and worked on. He came back, but they're not playing up the fact of, you hurt my neck, I'm going to hurt you. You mess with my buddy, I'm going to do this. Happy Corbin has to come out, and they have to cut stupid fucking promos where they make jokes at each other. It doesn't make any sense.
The problem with long-form storytelling in the WWE world is we're going to have a series 25 matches.
Yes.
They're going to intertwine with maybe one or two extra people, but it's always going to be the same match.
And they're going to have the match.
See Doudrop.
They're going to see each other.
Like Rhea Ripley versus Nikki Ash is a long-term story.
It's a long-form storyline that has killed Rhea Ripley as your female Hulk Hogan. Not the only one who said it. Long-form storyline in AEW right now. Hangman Page's storyline has been going on since the start of the company. He got a little distracted, but his overall story arc of this man becoming the champion, becoming a dominant champion, showing the world what he is absolutely capable of, and is he going to get fucked by his buddies at the end of the day, is a long storyline that makes sense, that we can always call back and reference. That follows up to the other thing of, quit telling me everything that just happened with these guys a week ago every 3 minutes that they're in a match or a segment together, okay? Let me be like, oh shit, that's right, that did happen.
Because AEW doesn't do that.
AEW doesn't do that. And I know that sounds bad because we say it a lot of AEW doesn't do that. Everybody on the independent show, Matt Cardona now has 12 fucking title belts across how many different promotions right now? Good for Matt Cardona. I hope that $250 that you make bleeding all over the high school gymnasium is worth not chasing the 24/7 championship. Tammy Stitch, get fucking help.
That's his final
Get help.
That's your final thought. Tammy Stitch.
Get real help. Get real help. Make a better porn. The last one was terrible.
That's not getting real help.
Get real help, hon, okay? You need help. You don't need to go to jail again. Or stay in fucking jail. Stay in jail.
Is that going to be our final thought?
Yes, our final thought is, kids, don't do drugs.
Drugs are bad.